Welcome everyone to Titan Esports Divinity League. We are on week 3? Week 4? No, week 4.
Week 4. Week
4 of the winter
Week 3 for me.
splits.
I wasn't here last week.
Yeah, well, welcome back. Great to have you. I'm Caleb Peng. I'm joined with Anti. How are you doing after your travels?
I am doing quite well. It was a good time, and I am very, very happy to be back for a good time over here in Titan Esports as we look at the Divinity League. Now, when you have 18 teams across 3 different groups, you are bound to have a very competitive sort of league in general, right? And right now we're going to be looking at 2 underdogs, 2 teams that are at the bottom of Group A, just to see how competitive it gets, even at the bottom of the competition. And it is always going to be fun to see how these teams come to fruition, especially because last week, both of these teams got their first taste of victory, their first wins for both of them.
That's right. And now they are both 1 and 2 and still in playoff contention. So winning, of course, here will bring the winning team to 2 and 2, which will get them just that much closer to it. Andromeda Esports Sun went 2-0 last week, and then team for Jesters who went 2-1 after dropping that first game. So definitely showing a lot of resilience here as they're looking, they're both on the up and up. And let's see if they continue that in week number 4. I believe Trudging was a recent addition to the team of Andromeda, and I think last week might have been his first game, and definitely put on.
It's a good sign.
So it's a great sign. Yeah, you're feeling good about that. So we'll shortly get into the draft. This is going to be a best of 3 between these 2 teams, and of course, as always, it is a fearless format. So any champs used in the previous games cannot be used in subsequent games, as Andromeda is going to have that first pick, first ban. Dr. Mundo banned right off the bat. Honestly, not a terrible ban, because that jungler doesn't seem like it has a lot of counters in this current meta, and maybe not the toughest jungler to play either, which makes it quite effective, and of course, it scales on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Mundo is one of those champions that's not just a matter of the flex, but also a matter of the ease of use, right? We've all seen Mundo jungle do so well and have very few hard counters in the meta. And then on top of that, very, very simple to use, especially because when you do see Mundo jungle, he's running fleet footwork. How do you actually stop this guy? Just very hard to catch, very hard to lock down, and much harder to kill than basically anyone else in that jungle pool right now. But speaking of jungle pool, we are continuing to limit that jungle pool. We've got the Amumu, we've got the Ivern off the table. These are clear and targeted bans. Jinx also taken off the table here. So we've got 2 of the stronger AD carries being taken off the table immediately. And there's AD carry number 3, Caitlyn, on the board. I would expect to see something like a Jhin that would be able to do very well into the Caitlyn as a response.
Yeah, Caitlyn going to be a very safe laner, of course, for the side of Andromeda.
Sivir!
Oh, they pick up the Sivir. Okay. We don't really see the rest of the draft of Andromeda yet. Sivir could be quite nice. You don't have the spell shield for the ace and hole for Caitlyn. Really just safe AD carry that scales well too. But if there's not a lot of melee, maybe a little bit harder to play Sivir. We'll see how the rest of the draft looks for Andromeda. We get the Aatrox pickup. Could be a very strong flex too in the jungle or top lane. Probably will be in the jungle. But if, both the top laner and jungler have Aatrox up their arsenal, it could be a great way to flex that pick as we get the J4 on the side of Andromeda.
Yeah, I mean, Jarvan definitely a good pickup there. Makes it extremely difficult for Sivir to exist. Aurelion Sol also going to be punishing that lack of range on top of that. I don't know how much I feel about the Sivir pick. The support pick actually matters so much. I would love to see support on R5. We are going to be taking the Ahri on R3. Means that we are going to have the ability to ban away some of Ahri's direct counters in this position. And when you've already got Aurelion Sol on the table, there's not really any counters you're going to be taking away. So you're taking off the Ornn, you're going to be taking off these other champions that are going to make it difficult for Sivir to exist. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Malphite takeaway or something along those lines. But the support pick is genuinely the difference maker for this bot lane right now. Sona going to be taken off the table. Set going to be taken off the table. What exactly is it that we're going to see? R4 does round out quite a bit, but R5 is what we are waiting for.
Yeah, they ban out the Yone as well too. Has a lot of ways to lock down some of those carries on the side of Andromeda. So a pretty good ban out that, of course. Oh, we get Seraphine.
Seraphine.
Okay. Seraphine, honestly, I feel like picking up in usage a lot in the past few weeks, or maybe just a split in general, both on, you know, the amateur level scene, but also in the pro scene as well too. Usually paired up with Ashe, but Seraphine Sivir could have some play and utility as well too. But I don't know if I love it as much. They're lacking a lot of frontline right now for the side of Jesters, but we'll see how it rolls out. It's gonna be Melio and then Renekton. So, you know, some strong early game on that top side, but of course you scale really hard on the side of Andromeda in the late game as well. It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if they have a lot of reliable CC, but they do have some. And we get the Maokai pickup. Well, okay, so we can really flex this, right? Because it can still be Aatrox top in a Maokai jungle, but it also could be a Maokai top with an Aatrox jungle. I think it just depends on how Jesters wants to play around this and maybe the mastery for both the top laner and jungler. But I actually don't hate Aatrox into the Renekton on that top side, and Maokai going to be very strong in these team fights and around the objectives too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Aatrox into the Renekton is going to be okay. Maokai versus Jarvan, generally speaking, pretty dang good pick. I don't know how to feel about the Seraphine Sivir bot lane because you're just going to be in a position where you are struggling so much to deal with that extended auto attack range. If Supe is in the right position at the right times, it is going to be near impossible for this Sivir to play the game. You don't have the constant healing of a Soraka. Sona was, you know, taken off the table already, and Melio is going to make it far more difficult for Say Sorry to play that game. So right now it's going to be a matter of this 2v2 in that bot lane. Can the Caitlyn make use of that extra auto attack range? Can the Caitlyn get that?
Minions have spawned.
For the time being and see how that goes, but we might just be yapping to absolutely no one at this moment in time. But overall, which draft are you favoring a little bit more here?
Yeah, I mean, what I do believe is that AES have a relatively solid draft. It's very easy to execute, right? You've got a Caitlyn that's got a billion auto attack range. It's going to be very difficult for the Sivir to actually walk up. I mean, we are seeing Say Sorry walk up and hit the wave right now. So at the very least, it's nothing too crazy just yet. But that Caitlyn is going to auto again and again directly into the Sivir's soft body with that little tiny bit of auto attack range. The Aurelion Soul's also going to make it very difficult for Sivir to exist. Jarvan, once again, this entire team composition might as well be titled the Screw Sivir composition, right?
Yes, I think that would be the case too. Around, so definitely close the gap even when on the hunt is used. I'm very excited to see what Snoopy ends up going for this Caitlyn in terms of item composition. Hex Optics, I feel like I've seen used on a decent amount of Caitlyn, and actually maybe not for a first item, but for a later game item is going to synergize really well with the Caitlyn's kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hex Optics is one of those items that is very underrated right now. As far as the auto attacking champions go, Hex Optics actually adds so much damage for these champions, especially a champion with as much auto attack range as Caitlyn. Always going to be able to get a lot of value off of that when we're already seeing an all-in in that top lane. Had it been a little bit more commitment, but instead it's just those quick trades. That's a Conqueror Renekton. We are expecting to see the longer trades, but instead it is going to be Aatrox coming out on top. Remember, this Aatrox was picked blind and threatened as a flex, but it just went directly into that top side as the Maokai was picked up here. I did say that I favored AES as far as the draft goes, but as far as the gameplay goes, team for Jesters is definitely making a statement.
Definitely. And Jesters, I mean, they're just going to have to try to take as many advantages as possible, slow down the Caitlyn, particularly the Aurelion Sol. In that late game, unless you catch the Aurelion Sol out of position, it's just going to be so much AoE damage and magic damage for your team. And it's not maybe the tankiest team outside that top side here. As we see the Twisted Advance come through, and the Bramble Smash is going to push this Aurelion Sol pretty low, force the flash. The Charm actually doesn't land, but that's A-okay for the side of Jesters because they still got that crucial Summoner spell. And now Canada is going to have to play a little bit safer in this lane, as CS across the board pretty even, so nothing too bad. But this Aurelion Sol may be dove on in the next minute or so before that flashes back up.
Yeah, I mean, no flash on Aurelion Sol is actually very, very big, especially when you have point-and-click CC like that Maokai, like that Ahri just popping up with that Spirit Rush, with that Charm. And if we take a look in bot lane, right, the lane that we anticipated going so heavily in favor of the Caitlyn Milio lane actually ends up being a huge boon towards the side of the Sivir Seraphine. I think this is a much less of a matter of the champion's strengths and much more of a testament to the players. In the meantime, top lane, once again, going to be going in the favor of Aatrox. It's just hit after hit, blow after blow, and the Dorn Shield on Renekton not going to be able to provide nearly enough of that sustain.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, the wave clear from Sivir is going to be pretty annoying to deal with too, and the range from the Seraphine as well. So Snoopy playing a little bit more of a passive lane, I guess. Oh, as the skirmish is going on this top side, World Ender is going to be popped to get Ace to safety, but right now that's going to be Hemo with a lot of health. TP was already spent from the Renekton, as we see a potential flank here, as Trudging is trying to chunk down Cesar. Cesar just running for at this point in time, doesn't have On the Hunt yet. Karma flashing the anticipation of Trudging's Flag and Drag, and getting a little bit of space for Andromeda's bot lane, but nothing super lost there. Barrier pop for the Sivir, but Flash is still up. Both Summoner spells spent on the Seraphine, though.
Yeah, I mean, Karma might be on that Seraphine, but still very much going to stay as mobile as possible, running away from that Jarvan. Popped that heal, popped that flash, just trying to stay alive and keeping the lead for as long as can possibly be done. I do actually think that Snoopy is rushing a Hex Optics that we had mentioned earlier. So I'm honestly kind of happy to see it. Hex Optics is one of those items that does a lot of DPS once you start getting towards that second item power spike. And Caitlyn's one of those champions that really needs 3 items to start doing much on the map. Right now, Trudging taking a little love tap here and there, no misfortune to be found, but Ahri's still going to be, you know, very much willing to flirt with that jungler.
You know, I got a little info from our broadcaster Rogan. The Aurelion Sol rocking the new Divine Architect Porcelain Aurelion Sol skin. So, you know, gotta flex it while you can. And curious about the mastery on Canadia's Aurelion Sol, or maybe just had to flex the new skin. As here comes the Nature Scraps, going to lock onto the middle for time being, and Reyna is going to go down. First blood going over to Jester and the Maokai. Dragon is going to reset. Let's see if they're going to try to take a fight here or not. I don't think so. They are outnumbered for the time being. Might give it up. It looks like no. Maybe they're going to try to go for it, as the Falling Star is
a lot of damage,
ready for some potential CC. Maokai running quite low. Trudging might be setting up for a pretty easy steal, as Snoopy doing good chunk of damage on the side. And it looks like Jester might just have to give this Drake up. I think maybe a pretty decent trade. First blood of Emilio for the Drake. Hextech Drake on top of it as well, as there's going to be a skirmish on this top side. Hemo, Ace just going at it. Both ultimates popped. I don't think either fully willing to all in commit just yet, as both ultimates are starting to run out for the time being. But Hemo going to just scare off the Aatrox for now. Great adjustment, though, from Andromeda. I thought that they were going to back off, but they recognized that, you know what, they spent a lot of their resources. Nature Scraps already popped for the Maokai, and it's going to be easy Drake for them.
Yeah, I mean, Reyna ends up getting caught out, and it turns into a full-on play for the side of AES. That might have been a 4v3, but Hextech Drake hits so many and so hard, and the constant slows make it difficult to team fight when your team is the one under the focus of that Hextech Dragon. In the meantime, Human Mage Wonderland did pop that Dominus, while Ace did pop that World Ender, but no ult needed for this gank. If we are going to see that Maokai come through, nope, that's going to be more and more damage, and I doubt we're going to see any sort of kills in this top lane anytime soon.
Yeah, we saw the Maokai in this general area, but not going to commit to anything here, as now it looks like Andromeda going for 3 grubs on top of it, so getting a lot of objective value on this early game for their side. And of course, they do scale pretty hard too, so getting these early objectives will allow them to get that scaling if needed. They could, start stacking those Drakes up and stall out potential any Drake souls on the side of Jesters. And overall, they haven't really been able to punish the hard carries of Andromeda, and this could be bad for them as the game goes on. But let's see how they play around this, as right now, Say Sorry just trying to poke out this Caitlyn on the bot side. But CS across the board fairly even in every single lane and every single matchup. So Jesters, I feel like they're going to have to make a play eventually here. Otherwise, things could get pretty dicey, as Seraphine is going to stun up the Caitlyn and do a good chunk of damage, but not enough to take out Say Sorry, as so we're just clearing some vision for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, there's a decent amount of poke coming in from Karma on this Seraphine. It's just a hit after hit and blow after blow. Snoopy might be rocking that triple tonic to try to scale as much as possible, but you're never going to be able to match the scaling of a Sivir. Caitlyn is all about getting that early lead, all about spreading that gold around as much as possible, but we're not going to be seeing any of that, as it is going to be Say Sorry and Karma, in effect, taking that lead in the bot lane. I was talking about how important this bot lane was, and we're seeing the brunt of that right now.
That's right. And overall, things are still looking pretty good for the most part. The J4 is in the area, but so is Maokai. So I think both teams just want to play this a little bit slower. Small gold lead for the side of Jesters. Nothing too crazy. A lot of that was also that first blood. Next Drake will be spawning in a bit, and that will probably be the next fight, as you can see most of these players saving up their ultimates, saving their big summoner spells for that potential fight, just trying to clear up some vision. You can see Aurelion Sol, Ari both heading over there. Topside skirmers looking pretty good for Ace. Teleport is available for both top laners as well, so they could potentially join the fight if need be. Teleport was spent from the Ari already, so looks like Hex is just going to get some vision in this spot. But a pretty slow game, I would say, starting off here in the first 11 minutes for these two teams. And I don't know if slow is what Jester really wants to do, but they're feeling comfortable for now. Ace jumping a whole wave into this turret. It's going to get a lot of value here.
Yeah, guess definitely going to be able to get a lot of value, but no minions miss from the side of Hemo Mage Wonderland. I will say, so on one hand, slow might not necessarily be what Team 4 Jester want as a team. It is definitely what Say Sorry and Karma, in effect, want in this bot lane, right? Sivir's one of those champions that I've said it once, I'll say it a billion times until y'all are tired of it. This is the 6-item power spike champion, right? It is all about just pumping as much gold as possible into the Sivir, and the slower the game goes, the more gold you're able to get. Only one kill has actually happened. It was on to Reyna's Milio, but in the end, when you have 100% kill participation as Sivir, and that is only one kill in 12 minutes, you are sitting pretty, right? We've already got the World Ender popped here, and hold on.
Dominus popped as well. Let's see if which top laner can outplay this, but just way too much health on Ace. And Aatrox picks up a kill for the side of Jesters. Definitely something they need, as they need to try to find advantage somewhere. Aatrox definitely could be valuable in this late game and the mid game for sure. Going to get a ton of value, more and more so. And just slowing down this Renekton will make Renekton pretty useless in the late game too, if he doesn't have too much advantage in this early game. Second Drake, Mountain Drake, going to be spawned up here. Positioning is looking pretty good for Jester so far, as they're trying to clear up some of this vision. Trudging taking a good chunk of damage. It just goes right in. Let's see if Trudging wants to go for this or not, as the Falling Star does not. Actually, it's going to be a Sky's Descent. Doesn't land in his full potential, but does do a little bit slow damage. Health bars are low, but the charm is going to connect onto the Caitlyn. It's absolutely massive. Snoopy is caught in top position. The Encore is also going to catch Canadia, and now Snoopy and Canadia both go down. Trudging, trying to do something by himself, is going to get one back. Going to get the Ari, but still 4 members strong on the side of Jesters. The Maokai a little bit low, though. Could potentially go for a steal, but will probably have to sacrifice his life for it. Let's see if Trudging is going to go for this or not. Looks like he's going to try to I don't think they have enough vision to see this Drake's health. Let's see, Trudging trying to just play this out here. Yeah, completely in the dark. Going for it. Let's see if he can get for the steal or not. The Drake has way too much health still. Trudging now caught in a tough position. Has to go back out. And I think this moment in time, Trudging's like, all right, there goes my one opportunity. Doesn't give his life buff, but a great exchange for Jesters across the board. 2 kills now onto the Sivir on top of it. And again, first item is going to complete up for the Sivir. And that's 1 item down. 5 more to go.
Yeah, 1 item down, and most importantly, Sivir also ends up popping that quest. That is a huge influx of gold, a very, very big pickup towards that next item. 2 kills onto Sivir in that fight. Did not have to expend the flash either. Say sorry in a wonderful position. And remember, Ace was in that fight with that fully completed top lane quest. We are going to be seeing a lot of experience stacking up here, but we're seeing the top laner also have more players stacking up there. In the end, though, we are not going to be seeing much in terms of the kills. It's just going to be summoners burned. And after that last fight, you'd expect those summoners to not be available. But Aurelion Sol just flies on in, says hello, says goodbye. Back to the mid lane we go.
And, you know, definitely something you want to see if you're rooting for Jesters here, because they're going to want to get some type of advantage. Can't give everything away to Andromeda and just let them continue to scale. I feel like the top part with Andromeda's comp is they don't really have a lot of great initiation on their side, right? They got the J4, and especially if the Renekton's on that top side, like you just have to kind of rely on Trudging to set things up for you. And we saw there too, right? Canadian starting with that ultimate. So Emilio caught in a tough position, but is going to get out there for the time being. But yeah, I just think like, you got a great Aurelion Sol ultimate off, but no one's really CC. Everyone's going to just walk it off, and the damage is not immense enough. And it's going to be a lot of pressure, I think, on Trudging and maybe on Hemo Mage as well to start these fights. But meanwhile, you have Nature's Grass on the Maokai. You know, you have the Encore to potentially get people charmed up as well. So team fighting potential looks really strong for Jester. And if they continue the advantage they have right now, they could potentially end this game before the carries on Andromeda scale fast enough.
Yeah, I mean, we say carries scale fast enough. There's really one big carry that is the uber scaler in this game, and that is Aurelion Sol, one of those champions that scales infinitely. But, you know, as I said, right, 6 item power spike Sivir, one of those champions that might not scale infinitely, but definitely scales very, very well. World Ender going to be popped up in this top lane. Here we go, World Ender for Dominus.
Yeah, and Ace going to take a lot of damage, but if you could land some of these Darkened Blades, it can be great for healing prospects, but not landing enough as Hemo trying to get the trade back, but the turret damage is so immense, and Hemo just barely gets out of there in time. Yeah, massive trade back for this Renekton as the Eclipse was completed up, helps him out in that 1v1 skirmish. So 1 for 1 right now as we see the Encore actually land onto Caitlyn before we go into this replay. But look at the bottom right corner here. There's a huge fight going on. Nature's Scraps comes through as well to lock up Trudging, and Trudging's going to be the one to go down to Karma. Actually, they're going for a little bit more. They lived? And Reyna goes down. Cesar is now on a killing spree, and Snoopy just going to have to run for Canada is here for the flank though. Falling Star is available. Let's see if Canada is going to drop it or not. Just hard to find an angle. Maybe just wants to clear out this wave and just allow the Caitlyn to go to that mid lane. Yeah, I think this is going to be first turret going over to the side of Jester, and Jester again capitalizing on their early game advantage as much as possible. Looking good so far.
Yeah, and let's take a look at this top lane fight once more. It is the World Ender popped as a response to the Dominus, but we already know Renekton's Dominus lasts so much longer than this World Ender unless we have those kill resets, and it's just going to be the slice and dice in and out of the tower with that Eclipse proc. Can we take a look at this bot lane fight that happens soon afterwards? Look at that. We get the slow coming in from Karma and Effect. We get the Encore just tagged directly onto Snoopy, and in the end, Milio and Caitlyn managed to survive. Trudging going to get knocked back, not going to be able to live there, dies for the sins of his bot laners. Milio also going to be taken out with no Milio ulti available. It becomes very difficult for the counter engage to actually end up working. I mean, Milio's a wonderful pick against this team when you have things like the Nature's Grasp, when you have things like the Encore. But if you don't have that ultimate available, there's very little that this Milio can actually do.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of value out of this Mount, guys. We see
Whoa,
Trudging
whoa.
trying to go for engage, not going to be able to do it. Singularity just going to be popped to slow things up a bit, but Nature's Craft is going to be coming through. Relin Soul forced to flash. Milo is going to get out to safety. Fallen Star lands onto 3 members. All 5 members are here in a huge cataclysm. Here comes some flank from Hemo, trying to slice through everyone as Ace is going to take out Trudging, but here comes the chase from Canadia and Relin Soul. Ace trying to take out the opposing top laner, and Hemo Global just goes forward and takes out the Sivir on top of it before going down, getting so much value out of that flank. And now Hex and Ace are pretty low, and they've completely turned things around. 3 full health bars, but it's going quite low as Mila is going to be pulled back in from the Infernal Chains. I don't think they'll be able to get any additional kills, but meanwhile, the Piltover Peacemaker is going to clip the Ahri. They're both going to be able to get back to safety, but a huge flank from Hemoglobin making so much value there and taking out the Sivers, a massive chunk of their damage. Ace just trying to chase down the opposing top lane, but just could not get to him fast enough.
Yeah, I mean, this is the timeline that top laners have been waiting for ages on end, where you can get a kill up in that top lane, get your first item, show up to a fight, and congratulations, you are playing Thanos now. It is Hemo Mage Wonderland just popping off in that back line, taking out so many of these health bars again and again and again. And despite the fact that the back lines were supposed to be traded, it is going to be AES coming out on top. But Team 4 Jester are going to be the ones looking at that dragon first. They're looking towards those soul points. They're looking for this team fight. The ultimates are not quite available just yet, but they are bound to be available in just the right time. Nature's Wrath's going to go wide, though.
Oh, and then you have the Sky's Descent. Let's see if Canadia's going to be able to throw it down. Does land, doing a good chunk of damage and actually able to fly out of it. Say Star is going to be the first one to go down. Karma follows shortly after, and things are falling apart for Jester in this mid-team fight. They don't lose a single member on Andromeda's side. Meanwhile, the health bars are so low for the remaining 2 members. Yet again, it's going to be Ace and Hex surviving to tell the tale, but they can't do much about it, as this looks to be Andromeda securing up another Drake. And the scaling starting to scale. They tried to do everything they could to take out Canadia before Canadia got off that ultimate, but was not going to be the case. And I actually didn't see exactly how Saystar went down, but Saystar just got blown up right off the bat. So much AoE damage and just a lot of focus from the members of Andromeda. And that just so much damage gone right then and there. I think the Nature's Grabs not landing onto any champions, unfortunately, was not the best start for Jesters. And Andromeda just took advantage of that after they dove onto that Aurelion Soul.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much value that comes out of this Milio ultimate, right? The ability to just cleanse this team-wide CC as long as Milio is positioned properly. And the Nature's Grasp going completely wide means that the Milio ulti is very, very well positioned, like very strong against a team-wide CC like Encore, right? Against any other bot laner, against any other support, that would have been a team-wide ulti that wins the entire team fight, that potentially just throws the game into the favor of Team 4 Jester. But right now, it's 8-8. It's extremely close, and Hemo Mage Wonderland might not have a land to call his own any longer.
Not just a charm, but this is a 1v4. I don't think Hemo can survive this one. Let's see if Hemo can make some magic happen. Not going to be the case. It's going to be a shutdown. Going over to Jimmy. Maybe could have given it to the Sivir, but still a little bit gold on your taking front lines. Not too bad. Sending a lot of members over to Hemo. And Hemo may be expecting going to be, even if it was going to get ganked, maybe not by that many members. They get a little bit something traded back at least. Gold differential only 1,000 on the side of Andromeda in their favor. But the problem is, they just scale so much harder, right? And we're seeing in these team fights too. I mean, that was back-to-back team fights that Jesters have lost, with both carries of Andromeda surviving to the end and getting so much value out of it. And if they keep going this way, it might be a little bit scary. This Aurelion Soul doesn't even have the Rylai's completed yet. Opted for that Oblivion Lord to stop some of that healing. But once the Rylai's comes out, it's just one of those really annoying items.
There it is.
And here it is. Yeah, it's really allows the Aurelion Soul to just chase down opponents, just slowing them down with that Breath of Life and just slowly burning away those health bars. And maybe not even so slow as the game goes on. That's going to be 2 items completed on to that Aurelion Soul plus Oblivion Orb. Scary stuff for sure.
Definitely scary stuff, especially because that is going to be even more burn damage on top of that. You are bound to see the Spirit Rushes come out from Hexes right now. That's one. That's two. Looking for the third. But Trudging also going to be chasing, walking up. Reyna's Milio is also making sure that there's no shot for this Ari to leave. That is 4 people involved in this Fox's death. And while you do have Say Sorry involved in this mid lane, are you going to get the Sivir to stay alive?
We see another flank from Hemoglobin going through. Falling Star is going to land with a singularity, slowing things down. Trudging going to take out the Sivir. So much damage gone right then and there. Jimmy is on the run. Almost gets burned down. Doesn't quite yet. And now Canada is going to finish it off. Seraphine just going to have to TP out and try to get to safety, hoping no one spots in. They're looking for more. They might even go for the Baron at this point in time. There is vision on it for the side of Jesters, but their jungler's down for another 30 seconds. 2 other members dead as well. I just don't think they can contest this Baron. And again, things are looking good for the side of Andromeda. Let's see if Ace tries to go for a hero play or not. I just don't think you have the damage. It is a good spot, though. They are clumped up as Karma is here. But here comes the Renekton to ward off the Karma. And it's going to be J4 that picks up the Baron. Ace now has to run for a bit. A lot of traps laid out there. Hex not going to land the charm. I don't know if they really want to take this fight down a member, even though the health bars are not fully healthy on the side of Andromeda. Again, they grab another crucial objective as they're starting to snowball further and further into this game.
As you get further and further into the game, it is 11 kills on one side, 9 kills on the other, not even a kill a minute, which for some teams, you would want the game to be prolonged as long as possible. For some teams, you will want as much time to scale up as possible. For a team with a Sivir, generally speaking, that is your idea. But for a team with a Sivir who has to play against a team whose entire plan is making sure Sivir doesn't get a chance to play the game, it might not be what you're looking for. In the meantime, we're seeing a lot more of these quick skirmishes on the top side.
Yeah, Infernal Chains does pull Hemo Mage back in, and Ace trying to chase down, but the World Ender does in fact end. Hemo, I mean, is chunked a little bit, but should be able to get out here to safety as we pick up another turret. So a lot of resources used. Oh, and we see Aatrox teleporting in to go for this potential Drake. But the World's Ender has already been popped. Trudging is going to be charmed up and going to be hit with that Encore Nature Scraps, going to ward them down a bit, but their health bars are still really healthy, getting so much healing out of this Milio. And now they're ready to take the re-engage with so many ultimates down. A huge Cataclysm catching Saystar and the Seraphine. Karma is going to go down as well. We see Ace at least get the shutdown onto the J4, but the rest of the members are strong and healthy on the side of Andromeda. And now Hex doesn't have a lot of places to go. 4 members about to collapse on it. Jimmy just trying to buy a little bit of space, but I don't think he has the damage to take out this Caitlyn, much less anyone else. And Canadian is now unstoppable. Jimmy might be the only jungler alive, but I don't think this is objective that he can contest in any way, shape, or form, as it looks like Andromeda just going to push their advantage in the spot lane, maybe even get a tier 2 turret for the time being, as Hemo just going to make sure that there's no possible way that this Maokai is going to cheese Drake under their noses. And things, again, looking so strong for Andromeda. Just capitalizing on the fact that Jesters spent all their resources in the first like 5 seconds of the fight, got no value, and they just re-engaged perfectly there in that fight.
Yeah, I mean, some of the earlier fights did not seem so one-sided, right? They seemed very, very close as we saw the game just go back and forth and back and forth. But right now, when you have those wombo combos, when you have the Cataclysm into Starfall, into just damage on damage on damage, Renekton directly into the backline with a Dominus and the Q, it's just so much that you cannot deal with. I mean, someone check the year, because Canada bring it back to the War of 1812. This Aurelian Soul just bring out so many war crimes, looks so unbelievably powerful. Literally, what do you do to this monster?
Yeah, he just was not punished in that early game, and Ari's definitely not a hard counter matchup for that Aurelian Soul either. As long as you survive that lane, the value you get in the late game is just so much heavier than what Ari can bring to you, and that's not really any knock on Hex. He just unfortunately is going to get outscaled by this dragon no matter how you put it. And if they team fight continually well like this with that Renekton and J4 just initiating so well, it's tough, you know. Trudging, willing to sacrifice life time and time again in these fights, knowing that as long as I lock down the carries and say sorry's out of the picture, the rest of my team is going to clean up. Even if Cesar doesn't die, he's not going to survive long enough afterwards. Cesar started this game out 3-0, and now unfortunately Cesar is 3-4, just 4 straight deaths in all these team fights. And you know, it's tough. I mean, what do you do at this point? Everyone's trying to gun for your head in these fights, and the J4's no better way to lock down champ than that one himself.
Yeah, I mean, said it at the very beginning of that draft. This is a very, very difficult Sivir game to be playing. Sivir might be a phenomenal champion that does everything you want for this team, but you have to look at the enemy team composition. You have to be prepared to play into something like that. Seraphine, once again, one of those champions that will allow the Sivir to exist for a little bit longer, but that Milio pick from Reyna is putting out so much work, making sure that the Encore and the Nature's Grass both cannot be stacked on top of one another. And when only one team has the ability to wombo, it usually goes to the team that actually gets to hit their R button.
That's right. And we see 3.5 items completed on this Rolling Soul. Has a Void Staff on top of it. Really, mostly for that Maokai. There's not really any magic resistance on the rest of the team of Jesters. So just really going to capitalize as much damage as possible onto all members. And the Sky's Ascend is ready for Canada, so this next team fight could be even more massive than the last few. Goal differential over 5k now for Andromeda, and they are on Soul Point. It's going to be a tough one for Jesters to come back from. Let's see if they can find the positioning. I think positioning would be huge, and I think also just not throwing away their ultimates right off the bat to start a fight and not be able to follow up on it could be massive. As Emilio going to be called out a bit, should be okay. So much healing from Reyna actually throughout this game too. Getting a lot of value out of this Milo in those re-engage fights, as Trudging might be 4-3, but has provided so much value for this team, and continues to do so.
Yeah, especially with that Zeke's Herald. I mean, we just have so much. Zeke's Herald? I believe it's Zeke's
Convergence.
Convergence.
Yeah.
God, Herald, Convergence, Harbinger, who knows? But right now we got the ults coming on in.
Oh, here comes the Sky Zendo doing a huge amount of damage, knocking up the Ahri and the Seraphine, and now Jimmy has to flash out. They're taking so much damage. They spent both the Encore and the Nature Scraps yet again to start the fight off, and they just couldn't pick off Trudging. Look at Trudging's health, still above half health. They did everything they could, and that's spending all their resources on the jungler, not even on the carries on the side of Andromeda. So even if they somehow take out Trudging, it's still not an easy fight, but they were ready for it. As now they're going to just look to secure their second Baron. The traps are laid out from the Caitlyn. I just don't know if they can contest this or not. Chemo Mage is there for the flank for potential assistance. Going to be able to dash through the wall. And let's see if Hex goes for a crazy steal with a potential Ahri. Isn't going to be able to get it, as here comes the additional damage. And they're burning up Trudging. Going to be caught in a tough position as Hemo buying so much space and locks down the Sivir. Say Sorry is down yet again. And now Trudging sacrifices his life, going for the Cataclysm. And he doesn't even die for it. It's going to be a double kill rewarded over to that jungler. And now the chase is on. The Singularity is burning up the Seraphine. Hex going to have to run for it, but I think there should be another reset on the rail, so I think they're just going to go forward and just try to take out the turrets and maybe even end the game here. 30 seconds on the top laner and jungler. I don't think they'll have enough to do that, but it is starting to get super scary in these fights, and I just don't know what you can do. I mean, hemoglobin goes down, but still, in the midst of 5 members, able to secure the Sivir and provide so much space for the team. And,
yeah, I mean, and at the end of that fight, Trudging pulls off a Disney Channel movie sacrifice where you see what looks like a certain death, a certain sacrifice, but no, the Jarvan stays alive. Just so much healing coming in from that Sundered Sky. So much healing coming in from that Milio. Caleb, I'm going to be real with you. I don't think Diadem is balanced. That was an absolutely insane amount of healing coming on in. Trudging able to frontline the entirety of it after Hemo Mage Wonderland burned a lot of their big damage abilities. And when all of the burst is down, you only got DPS left, and it's not nearly enough to take out Trudging. Encore goes through, and here we go again.
Encore does slow up the Relling Soul immediately, but not enough here as Trudging does have the Guardian Angel. It is going to be popped. Can't go for this re-engagement. The health bars are so low at this point in time. Ace and Hole was able to chunk the Seraphine. Trudge is going to be one to pick it up as next comes the Cataclysm. And now this Relling Soul is godlike, going for the double kill, gets the triple, and the whole team of Andromeda is just chasing him down. Quadra kill and ace for Canada and the team, and they are looking to close out this first game. So well played from the team of Andromeda. I was saying earlier, they didn't have great engage options, but they made the most of it and getting so much value out of this topside jungler and Renekton. And they close out this first game 24-11 on the backs of all members strong. Aurelion Soul rocking that new skin, 10-1 and 11. Well-made purchase, if I say so myself.
Yeah, I mean, skins get you the wins, but the most important thing about that is the entire team built around making sure Say Sorry didn't get a chance to play the game, and holy moly, man, did not get a chance to play that game. Sivir, just one of those champions you expect to be topping the damage charts for the side of Team 4 Jester. Look at that. And that's not a blight on the way that Say Sorry was playing. That is just a matter of team composition difference. It's so difficult to play when the entire enemy team knows you're the win condition, and AES did such a good job of playing around it. I love all of that AoE coming on through. The Milio pick was huge from Reyna, making sure that all of the wombo combo for the side of Team 4 Jester just simply didn't exist. Remember that Seraphine was taken up early, so I guess they didn't quite have the idea that the Milio would be able to take the Nature's Grasp away at the forefront of their minds. But as we get later into the series, they are bound to be thanking the gods above that it is Fearless Draft, because we're not going to be seeing this kind of a comp anytime soon.
Yeah, really well played from Andromeda too. And, you know, the Caitlyn didn't even have to do as much damage in these fights, given so much of the AoE and damage coming from everyone else on the team. Yeah, but hey, Trudging was a recent pickup from last week. I think really showing that he was a valuable pickup for the team, just tanking so much. And the Zeke's Convergence pickup too, I really love knowing that, you know, he's going to be the engaged. He's going to start off a lot of these fights, and I don't think he had a bad Cataclysm all game long. We'll see how these teams adjust though. That's game number 1. This is a best of 3. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back for game 2. Welcome back, everyone, to Titan Esports Divinity League. We are here, week number 4, Andromeda Esports Sun versus Team 4 Jesters. Andromeda taking that first game off in dominating fashion with a hard scaling comp that definitely scaled. I'm Caleb Peng. I'm joined with Anti. How are you feeling after that first game?
I am feeling wonderful, Caleb. I mean, I gotta say, right? It was a game that was extremely back and forth, and for a little bit of time, we saw a world where Team 4 Jester had the opportunity, had a window, had an opening to get into that game, to really make it theirs. But the scaling came through, the team composition came through once the 5v5 started coming on through, and it was all about the wombo combos. Reyna's Milio being able to hit the R button was really dang effective. And then once Reyna disables the ults of the side of Team 4 Jesters, it is all about the R buttons on the side of AES. And we saw the Cataclysm, we saw the Starfall, we saw the Dominus, we saw so much damage go on through. And the entire time, Soupy just gets the chance to free fire as much as he pleases.
That's right. And speaking of R buttons, too, a lot of cataclysms being thrown from trudging, locking in all the right targets, and Canada too on that expensive Aurelion Soul skin. Definitely paid off, you know. Maybe as a Aurelion Soul main myself, I might have to play the lottery later, but I don't know. I don't know if I could dish it out like the way Canada did. We'll see
I'm
how.
saying,
Jesters...
if I win the lottery, there'll be signs.
True. I think Andromeda Esports Suns definitely had a buff last week, picking up trudging and maybe looking to try to secure their playoff potential in the coming weeks. But they got to win one more game here to go start evening up their record to 2-2. Looking really strong in that. I did see that AES was on the top 12 power rankings for two of our players that are analysts, I would say, on the weekly forecast. So they did predict a 2-0 victory over Jesters. However, Jesters fans, I'm sure they have something about to say about that. And let's think about what went well, right? I guess for Jesters in that first game, I think things look pretty good on the top side for Ace, right? Into Hemo in at least early game. Hemo definitely had a lot more impact in those team fights, but maybe you could say that that might not be Ace's fault in the sense that the setup wasn't there for the Aatrox to do as much. I feel like the side of Jesters, their comp was maybe a little bit hard to play in the sense that they had to land a lot of their skills, right? Outside the Sivir, everything else was like very skill shot oriented in a way, whereas the damage from AES, which is so consistent, right? You got a lot of consistent damage from Renekton, the Caitlyn, of course, the Aurelion Soul, so much value there too, and just played maybe a slightly easier comp to pilots, and it showed. But we have another draft coming up soon, and we'll see how Jesters respond after taking that 0-1 loss. They did go 0-1 last week to start things off, still able to close out 2-1, so they are not unfamiliar in this position.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a resilient bunch they are. And I also got to say, right, so ease of use is one thing to talk about, but also on top of that, all of the easy things that they did have, right, that Nature's Grasp, that Encore, completely negated by Milio, right? One of those champions that slots in so well against your team composition and it gets picked up immediately. That is not a great feeling. But then on top of that, the champions that you end up relying on, that you fall back on, that you say, this is the one that we are going to put all of our eggs into, ends up getting whipped right out of that basket as Cesari just doesn't get a chance to play on that Sivir. Lots of champions that are going to negate the ability to use that Ricochet into the backline because they're already in your backline trying to trade each of them. They're going to be able to do so much damage to that low range Sivir, and it's just going to be hit after hit after hit. And Cesari and Karma, I gotta say, were playing extremely well in that bot lane. Sivir and Seraphine are not two champions that I would expect to be winning lane 2v2 into Caitlyn Milio, but they were the ones coming out on top. It wasn't until you started seeing the jungle come down, the mid laner come down, top laners come down, that Cesari and Karma started falling behind on those champions. And I even ventured to argue that they didn't really fall behind until much later on, where Humo Mage Wonderland got the chance to just run straight over that backline on that Renekton.
Yeah, definitely. And Trudging, just eyes on the Sivir all game long, and you can only do so much to avoid being stuck in that Cataclysm pit with that J4. But that's what Trudging did. As let's see how the teams respond in game number 2. It's going to be Jesters with the first pick. They're going to opt for that blue side as well. And again, as a reminder, this is a fearless format, so all those champions that you see grayed out on the bottom side are not eligible for this game. And any subsequent games, if we go to a game number 3, either going to be banned up right off the bat for Jesters. And we get the Dr. Muno banned off again from Andromeda, which, again, a great choice.
Makes sense.
Given how strong that Mundo is these days.
We're getting a Mumu? No, it's the Hecarim ban. Okay, so we're going to be getting very different jungle bans coming in from Team 4 Jester. Trudging came in, has not lost a single game since. And we can see the amount of respect going towards this jungler. Are we Are we going to be seeing that Amumu ban in the same way that we saw in game number 1? No, it's going to be the Jinx banned away. So I'm actually expecting to see Team 4 Jester pick up that Amumu on B1 if they're going to be leaving it open. Nope, it's the Amumu getting banned away by AES instead.
Could be a ploy too from Jesters to maybe pick up the Moon themselves on that first pick, but instead Andromeda feeling pretty comfortable with Trudging's champ pool, going to ban that out instead, and likely a Pantheon jungle, but you can always flex it as support, maybe even a top if you're really feeling dicey. It's not the worst. You're not going to be the first to be picked up on the side Andromeda, so going to have to definitely have a lot of peel, a lot of frontline for this Yunar to really, you know, enable her, especially in that mid to late game. Let's see how the rest is going to become. Oh,
whoa!
Darius. All right. I mean, it could be a Darius jungle too, right? So that is a possibility. But Andromeda likely going to be in that top lane. When you say, oh, okay, Jester's like, you know, we know you all like to scale with the dragon. We're going to scale with our own dragon. It's going to be a Smolder pickup. Sometimes Yunar is actually, you know, in some ways the counter pick to Smolder in some situations. But of course, Smolder late game just kind of beats everything. So could be good. And we get the set pickup from Jester. So going to be obviously, I mean, a set jungle wouldn't be the craziest thing, but likely going to be in that top lane. Oh, when we get the Malphites, I'd probably see, you know, Silas being picked up is a lot of melee, but it's probably still good to ban out the Silas just to be safe.
Yeah,
and that's
100%.
Exactly what Andromeda does.
Yeah, I mean, Silas would have been a ridiculously good pick into that Malphite, especially because the mid lane still is available for the side of Team 4 Jester to be picking up. I mean, Aether Esports Sun right now, they are up a game, but you have to keep the full-on, you know, the full-on momentum going as much as possible. So they're going to take away the Lulu, they're going to take away the Sona, taking away as many enchanters as possible from this Yunara. You still do have a couple of champions available, like that Nami. But right now, what are we going to be getting for Reyna? I do expect to see the support pick here. No, we're saving the support for R5. It's going to be that Galio pickup in the mid lane. So if Team 4 Jester only have a single magic damage champion, it's going to be pretty dang difficult for them to actually do anything to this team. We've got anti-mage, we've got anti-physical damage, and what are we going to have in the end as the Renata comes in for Karma in effect?
Oh, it's going to be a Cassio. Yeah, I was going to say, there's a chance that Hex could flex the Smolder in the mid lane into Galio. A really good matchup for the Smolder. Seeing if Jesters want to play a like mage bot or something, but they opt for the Cassio instead. Cassio is actually pretty solid though into that Galio, and we get the Soraka to round things out for AES. A lot of frontline and a lot of short range just in general though, so this actually is a pretty good game for the Smolder. I mean, as long as you don't get caught out, there's a lot of things going to be coming at you for sure. But overall, though, this this comp is it's not too bad, and it's actually really good for Cassio to play into it too, right? A lot of a lot of things coming at her. Unless you get hit by the unstoppable force, it's just not really much that could really slow down this Cassio. So overall, I like the Jesters draft a little bit more, especially because you got the set that could, you know, throw down and just remove a champion from the rest of your group quite a bit. So that could also provide some spacing there, but it is going to be that Pantheon in the jungle on the side of Jesters. But we'll see. I mean, AES, they're all in these fights, and if they all in you and take you out, then it's probably going to be a quick GG's.
Yeah, I mean, a quick GG is definitely one way to put it. With trudging on that Malphite jungle, it's going to be bound to be a very interesting position to find yourself in. One thing I will say, right? Actually, no, it is not going to be that Malphite jungle. It is that Darius jungle. So we are going to be seeing the 1v1 Bruiser jungle matchup. But right now, right, you have to note, right, Set is one of those champions that does a lot of true damage, but doesn't necessarily do so well into Malphite because you have to be taking a bunch of damage to begin with. Now, I will say, right, that this is a composition that Aether Esports Sun have a lot of trouble playing, right? If you are ahead, it's very, very difficult to lose with this team composition as long as your Soraka is just in the right place at the right time, right? Reyna on the Soraka has probably the hardest job in this entire game, which is positioning far back enough that you can play the game and heal all your teammates on repeat, but not so far back enough that you can survive, but not so far back that you can't heal your teammates, right? So this is all going to rely on Reyna's mechanics here. If this Soraka is able to play the game, then I would give it to Aether Esports Sun. If the Soraka is not allowed to play the game, I think it's pretty cut and dry for a team for Jester.
Jesters just want to drag this game out as long as possible, and their late game composition is very, very strong into the side of Andromeda. But positioning is going to be key, right? I mean, if this Mulder gets called out, if this caster gets called out, that's going to be a lot of your damage just gone, right? Ace is really strong on that set, but it's kind of like a 1-2 punch, and once you burn your abilities, you're not doing nearly as much as, you know, your mid laner and your ADC in as far as that's concerned. So we'll see how it goes. This is a very exciting matchup, though, and we've seen Andromeda definitely be able to close out games, even with scaling comp. Let's see if they can close it out on the other way around. Has Canadia playing pretty well in this matchup versus Hex. Hex already chunked quite a bit, and just throwing a lot of these wins to war to really start chunking out this Cassio. Cassio can wear boots now, right? They just completely switched up the lore behind. She's like, you know, after a couple of years, I'm finally going to throw on some shoes.
-1. Yeah, I mean, all I'm saying, right, is that it's the same thing with Nami. If you are playing Cassio, if you want to pick up a boot, you can just hop into the store, hop into that search bar, and type in hat. So that tells you exactly where those boots are going to be going, right? You know, it doesn't have to necessarily go onto for feetsies, but right now we're going to be seeing quite the feat coming in from Hemo Mage Wonderland, forcing the flash on that top side away from Ace. I gotta say, it's so difficult for this set early on into the Malphite. You're just taking so many of these Qs again and again, and all of these cheese wheels just eat away at your health bar. And you think to yourself, yeah, I've got the true damage. I should be able to kill this Malphite. But that Malphite gets tanky in many ways.
That's right. And, Hemo going to take a whole turret shot, though, and now might have to play this a little bit safer out of mana as well. And one well-placed Haymaker can spell disaster as Trudging going to grab that top scuttle and force Jimmy to go a little bit further back. But I would say, Hemo actually greeting a little bit, going to stay here as Trudging is in the vicinity. Ace going to have to play this a little bit safer, and, you know, just super annoying to play into Malphite, as you can see. The Canyon minion just cannot even be contested. Hemo just trying to be as annoying as possible into the set. Ace does have the slight level advantage, so, and is going to start healing up. You can see Ace just so scared right now to even try to touch the minions. And Hemo may be thinking that the set already left at this point, because why would you just give up so much of this? But no, Ace is indeed here. Ace is going to hit that level 6 before Hemo if they keep staying in this lane, so may find an opening here or there, but hard to chase down this Malphite. And Malphite with the ultimate can just all in you or also just all out and just get to safety.
Yeah,
But
might
CS
not
is
be
actually pretty
Cassante,
good
but
for Stace.
definitely can just go all out. Ulting in, ulting out. It's just a matter of being as mobile as the R button on your keyboard. Hemo Mage Wonderland might not be playing that Vladimir, but this top lane is bound to get bloody the moment that level 6 comes around. We're not going to be seeing that until this wave is finished. The Haymaker could be a lot. The Flash just guaranteed for Hemo Mage Wonderland, and Ace might be looking for a dive soon.
Yeah, Ace
That's one minion
did
to
drop the
6.
Haymaker, which was on a slightly longer cooldown, but Ace is going to heal up a little bit faster than this Malphite is, and forcing the Malphite 2 back, forcing the Flash as well. Ace's Flash going to be up a little bit sooner than that, and Ace actually finding a good chunk of CS lead over this Malphite. Teleport's going to be spent up here. Meanwhile, mid lane looking pretty okay overall. It's going to be a more or less a tank Galio build. There is not a lot of true tanks. Yeah, the jungle, well, I don't even think Jesters is even back yet. So Trudging just going to try to look to secure this Drake. They do have the Prio, and I think Jesters, they're just okay with this, allowing Staystar to just farm up on the Smolder, get some stacks. But, oh, okay, doesn't even... You know what? It's all good, right? What's going to happen, right? A spear through the wall.
It's about efficiency, right? You know, it's all about maximizing that jungle clear speed. You're not losing out on any damage on that smite or any damage on that bleed. Look at that full build already for Trudging. We're 6 minutes into the game, and this man's got a full-on weapon shot completed.
Yeah, Canadia taking a decent amount of damage from the Cassiopeia, but is able to get to safety. You know, Trudging, farming up minions and farming up some of that aura as he's proving why he was a great pickup for this team so far, and does grab up that first Drake. No significant gold advantage anywhere here. For actually a lot of long shorts all across the board. Combined 5 on that top side of Jesters. They say, you know what? If Trudging's doing this, maybe we're going to take a play out of his book as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Trudging's so rich right now. 57 CS on that jungle. In the meantime, Reyna and Karma are just, you know, locking eyes with one another, saying, I am the superior support. I swear I'm the one who's going to come out on top here. But instead, top lane, we are still getting a battle of the beasts as the continual hits coming in from this Malphite just makes Set's life, I wouldn't say a living hell per se, but definitely unhappy.
Yeah, it's annoying to play into for sure. But I think Ace is just hanging on there, has a slight CS lead as well too, so not too bad. And this set is kind of hard to gank for Trudging, so Trudging maybe has to... I think Trudging's been in the top side a couple times, but at best just scared Ace off a little bit. It's nothing too crazy, but you could just kind of showstopper maybe one of the enemy champs towards your turn, just separate the two, and just, you know, you have a lot of value in survivability with that Haymaker. But just Hemo, I mean, after recalling and just getting the mana back up, just constantly throwing these seismic shards non-stop. And the thing is, the damage doesn't add up that fast, so you can't even like Haymaker your way out of it, you know? Like, it just like your damage bar just resets shortly after every one of these shards, and just Hemo just being a complete nuisance in these spots. But, you know, that's kind of how top lane Malphite can go sometimes. I actually like to pick a lot too, right? There's not really much AP damage outside that Cassio, so you're going to be very valuable in these fights as Trudging looking to secure up another set of objectives. And the Prio is looking pretty good for AES, so not going to be contested. And it's going to be AES grabbing the first 2 objectives yet again.
Yeah, and in the meantime, right, top lane still has so much of that priority, just able to pick up as much of this wave as possible, right, until you hit level 5 on Malphite top. It's actually pretty difficult to get your early farm, to get that early lead. In the meantime, Snoopy in a little bit of trouble, gonna get rooted up. Nothing too crazy going on, though, as Reyna comes back just in time to make sure that the child is not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. I swear, all ADCs are like little babies in the early game, where no matter what happens, you're just sitting there, you're going, where, I want my food, I want my money, I want my gold. old. I want as much as possible so that way later I can take care of you when everyone is old and the game is around 40 minutes. But that 40 minutes is a long ways away, as the top lane and jungle are where so much of the power is contained right now.
That's right. I mean, Smolder's kind of a baby in itself throughout the game if you just look at the skill set names and everything. But he does become a pretty strong baby as things go later and later. And two Bombing Cinders on the side of AES. They're going to have a lot of burn damage because they are going to definitely be lacking some, head-to-head damage in a lot of these fights outside of really just going to be that Yunara and maybe Darius, depending on how Trudging scales on this Darius side of things. But pretty quiet game. Just like last one, Oh, and the Chu just barely missed this.
No way.
So that's the Renata. They had vision on it as well. Oh, well, you can see AES bot lane definitely breathing a sigh of relief there. That could have definitely been the first blood, but yet again, that's not going to be the case. Ace just trying to weather the storm as best as possible into this Malphite. I mean, you got the Swifties, but that's just going to be more move speed for the Malphite once he steals it away.
Like, that is a slapstick routine's worth of comedy there, where you just have two people passing each other like ships in the night saying, yeah, you know what, I'll be okay, I'll be fine. Meanwhile, the side of Team 4 Jester just trying their hardest to catch up, trying to make sure that they can cancel that back. But no, it is the time wasted for their jungler. It is the time gained for the side of Aether Esports Sun. And I gotta say, right, this Darius jungle was something that I wasn't expecting to see as useful as it has been, right? Because it's been a while since we have seen Darius jungle. It's been a while since we've seen this pick anywhere near competitive play. I see it in solo queue every now and then, and a lot of the times it's just someone being extremely selfish and doesn't actually have the ability to play Darius jungle, but more often than not a top laner who's auto-filled in that position. But we can see right now, Trudging very much going to continue on the warpath, still making use of those bleed stacks. Terrifying every time, but you know what? It's efficient.
Yeah, the first time around was definitely a little bit safer. This time around, it could have been easily sniped. A Smolder ultimate could have easily grabbed that too, but I think Jesters wouldn't think that even Trudging would keep it that low, but hey, he's living on the edge there and feeling good about it. As Ace going to run a little bit back to safety. I don't really think they have the ability to kill Ace, as Hemo just going to check this bush for good measure, delay this back a bit. And the Malphite looking to skirmish, but not going to be able to give him the pleasure, as Karma going to take a decent amount of damage here, as here comes the ultimate going to be popped. Mom is going to be not used yet, as here comes the Starfall Grand Entrance, and Jimmy is going to be here to assist that bot lane.
Whoa.
Oh, the flash come forward to it, and the stun and a double kill going over to the Pantheon. Definitely get a ton of value in that fight. And a great flank from Jimmy to start things off. And 2 kills. Unfortunately, goes over to the Pantheon, but honestly, for Smolder, the stack's probably more important. You do get the 2 assists at least and ease up this bot lane just a bit. And going to crash a pretty massive wave into this bot lane turret on top of it.
I mean, I would argue that Pantheon getting those kills is so important for the side of Team 4 Jester. This champion is very, very strong if he can get a lead, and he has been falling behind this Darius on repeat. It's been very, very difficult to actually get a chance to play the game. Hemo Mage, you have got to stop tanking tower shots for funsies. But right now, the dive is a possibility. It's not gonna come through. It's just gonna be more and more prio for the side of AES. But right now, Trudging continuing to clear out this jungle. Gonna get collapsed on. This could be big.
All right, let's see if Trudging can play out of it. Flash is going to be used. The stun going to follow soon, shortly after, as not even needed. And Jimmy is going to chunk away the health bars. Hex going to be one to pick up the kill, trying to punish the Darius for overextending a bit and trying to invade the side of the jungle for Jesters. A really great start for Jesters, and the thing is they also outscale, so this is, theoretically speaking, exactly where you want to be if you're Jesters to force a potential game number 3. However, the objective control is on the side of AES. They have 2 Drakes and the Grubs as well, so Jesters definitely going to have to start contesting sooner than later on that next Drake fight. But they are setting themselves up to be as strong as possible here, as the Haymaker is going to come through, but does just barely any damage to Hemo. Hemo enjoying this matchup quite a bit, and for good reason. You just don't do enough damage into Malphite, especially as an AD champion, and Malphite getting a lot of value in this matchup. Just, you know, keep an ace in his lane as long as possible until these team fights do come around. But this
really
game
going to be at
a
any
little bit more
risk
rough.
of death.
Yep.
Oh yeah. No risk of death in this top lane for, honestly, either of these top laners for now. Trudging dying early actually is a huge thing for this Darius, right? Darius is one of those champions that the last time we did see him on the Rift in competitive play, it was a lot of just continually forcing the ganks over and over and over again because this champion just cleared so much faster than everything else. This time around, right, Trudging going to be picking up that Darius. Not quite sure what the play is, but we're seeing a big fight.
All right, and Hero's entrance does come through the bailout. I don't think it's going to bail anyone out, as Trudging does pick up the Renata on the backside, and now Jimmy pulled back in, and that's a double kill going back over to the jungler on the side of AES. They're trying to continue to stack still on the Smolder. Smolder might have overextended a bit, so Cesar just trying to get as many stacks as possible before going down, and Canadian is going to be the one to pick that kill up. 3-for-0 for the side of AES. A fantastic response from them. Hex, though, might be able to pick up a few kills if you can stop this backs, but it is still kind of scary. It's a 1v4, and you can see Reyna just going to chunk away a little bit of health. Let's see if Hex can make something out of it, or Hex might be the one to be followed through, as Trudging doing a ton of damage, and now Silence apprehended. Hex goes down as well. Snoopy going to be the one to pick up the kill. 4-for-0 for the side of AES, and they're back into this game. Canada getting some plates on top of it, too. They do lose out on that top side turret from the side of the sets. So that's going to get some value here or there. But this is a great way for getting AES back into the fights, and just fantastic team fighting from them all across the board.
Yeah, and we've seen it so many times. AES, the laning phase doesn't necessarily seem to be their strongest point, right? Team 4 Jester have been getting themselves into the lead. They've been getting themselves into the right position, and they have been getting themselves into these moments where you think to yourself, this is phenomenal for them, right? They'll be able to take over the game from here. The first team fight happens, AES just blow the game wide open. Each and every time, these team fights have been immaculate, and on these team fighting champions like the Galio, like the Malphite, like the Rift Herald that's gonna drag even more people up here, we're gonna see another one of these team fights that we've been talking about.
Oh, and the Rift Herald is stolen. Mom called as well. Trudging trying to survive all of it, but Trudging does go down. The shutdown goes over to Jimmy on the Pantheon. Meanwhile, Hex doing a good chunk of damage on this Malphite, and going to be the one to really be able to hurt the Malphite, as he is mostly armor heavy, but this magic damage cannot be shielded up. And that's going to be a good trade. Going over to Jesters, grabbing the objective and grabbing a shutdown on top of it. Definitely what you want to see here, as you can stall the game out a bit. Cesar is still alive here, grabbing some more stacks, but probably a little too weak to take a re-engage fight. Still really anyone's game, as the gold differential only about 300s in favor of AES, but you got to be worried about the scaling on the side of Jesters, and this Dragon, as Essence Reaver is completed up on the Smolder. We'll probably get a stack check. Oh, it is at 150 right now at 17 minutes, so well on its way to getting a 225 stack in that 20-ish minute mark. I say sorry, going to have to play a little bit safer here. Going to clear out this wave a bit. But another great fight for Jesters.
Yeah, another phenomenal fight for the side of Jesters. No diadem to be found on Reyna this time around, which honestly makes a lot of sense. On the Soraka, you just want to finish that Moonstone as quickly as possible. Might be looking at a Dawn Core or a Redemption sooner rather than later, but it's all about that healing, right? And in the meantime, we're not going to be seeing much healing reduction coming in from Team 4 Jester just yet. We are going to be seeing the set punches come on through, but as we've already seen time and time again, Human Mage Wonderland really does not care, right? This Malphite is just completely and totally based off of 1v1ing this specific champion, and man, it turns out specific champion builds on specific champion counters kind of work.
That's right. And yeah, we'll see. There's a lot of members roaming around in this mid side here. They want to try to take out this mid turret as soon as possible. Only 2 plates remaining, but these final 2 plates are a little bit hard to take out. You can see AES, you can feel maybe the pressure getting to them a bit as, you know, they are on a ticking time bomb with the Smolder, and so far Smolder only dying once, but overall not behind in any way, shape, or form. You can see they're looking to skirmish as soon as possible, but Jesters, they're not that weak. As Trudging's going to be stunned up here, taking a good chunk of damage right below half health. The TP comes through from the Malphite. The Unstoppable Force can turn the ties if it can be landed. Hemo Mage going for a teleport, but great backing off from Jesters to maybe waste that TP for the time being and get a little bit more better positioning for this mid fight. And now you draw the TP out from the Malphite, goes back towards that bottom lane, still lurking around in this general area. This could be a big team fight coming up. No objectives to fight over just yet. I think they're just going to ARAM it here, but that's only just going to be better and better for the Smolder as he's just continue to add up some of these stacks while everyone else is sitting in the mid lane.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing these stacks continue to stack up as the Dragon's going to be coming up in a little bit over 90 seconds. 20 minutes in, 4-4. This is somehow even a less bloody game than the last one we did see, but this one, once again, has a very, very clear scaling AD carry on the side of Team 4 Jester. Right now, the Malphite is scaling up, is picking up as much gold as possible, is picking up as much tankiness as possible. But this Cassiopeia still in a wonderful position to just eat away at this champion. But once again, Apprehend coming through.
Cassio going to be taunted up, and there comes the Noxian Guillotine. Trudging going to pick up that kill. Trudging's actually still quite strong, though. 3-2-1 with a huge CS lead over the Pantheon. And can't overstep too much there as there's quite a bit of CC on the side of AES to lock down that Cassio. And Cassio going to go down. But again, the game's still looking pretty strong. Oh my gosh, okay. AES going for the Baron call. I don't think this is the worst call, but Grand Starfall is available, so this could be easily stolen from the Pantheon. On top of it, you still have the run out of glass too with a hostile takeover to really mess things up in this fight as the health bars are quite low. It is going to be spotted. Let's see if Jesters are going to contest or not. You see the members are roaming over here. Sets, Malphite both don't have TP as they take the engage. Hostile takeover is going to come through, but doesn't land onto a single target. That's going to be pretty good for AES, but the Baron has completely reset. I don't think they can go for this Baron unless they make a huge team fight happen. Meanwhile, you can see Ace just trying to take out this mid turret to get some additional map control. He is able to do it. As you can see, the Haymaker comes through. Doesn't do a ton of damage. Reyna is already low on health. The spear not enough to take it out. And now Hemoglobin is looking to re-engage. We get the TP coming over from Canada on the Galio. They want to take a fight, but there's still a turret in this position. They're taking a ton of damage, but this is going to be the Panther that goes down first. Taunt is not going to be landing on anyone from Canada. Going to just take out the jungler on the side of Jesters, but that might be what they need as the next. The Drake is coming up, and this will be sole point for the side of AES if they could grab it. However, their health bars are on the slightly lower side. Trudging, though, healthy enough. I don't think he's going to mess up this smite in any way, shape, or form, and that's going to be Cloud. Drake going over now on sole points. And Jesters, they're going to just have to probably run for it unless they want to try to take a fight down a member. I don't know if they can necessarily win it, but AES, they're not feeling confident either as they're continuing to run through their jungle. Ace looking for something. Not going to be able to find it.
Yeah, Ace definitely looking for something, but still has the ultimate available. Once again, as we mentioned in Champ Select, the huge win condition for this game is whether or not Reyna gets a chance to play. Right, this Soraka so pivotal, so important for making sure that this game works out as intended. I do love the build towards that Dawn Core, but right now this is not about build. This is about the fight in mid.
Yeah, Hex going to be taken up and almost gets the kill back over with the bailout. But here comes the hero's entrance, going to knock up Ace. Ace still has the Haymaker. Haymaker connects, but doesn't do full damage onto Trudging. And Trudging now looking for the kill. There's going to be Snoopy that takes out the kill on Ace. And they're looking to fight even more. Yunara, 2 kills already going over to the Yunara. They're looking for this mid lane turret as well. Things are starting to fall apart for Jester. Smolder's still doing a good chunk of damage, but they don't have enough bodies to tank up this damage. Jimmy doing everything he can to appeal for this team, but 3 members have gone down. AES continuing to put a stronghold on this fight, knowing that they have to end this game sooner than later. Surprisingly, they didn't go for the Baron this time around with 3 members down, but they may look to re-engage around that Baron pits. And Snoopy definitely online now after taking that fight against the Cassiopeia. 2 kills going over 3, 1, and 4. 2.5 items completed. Almost Infinity Edge going to be completed up here. And that's definitely what you want from your AD carry in this game, especially because there's not really too much damage elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those moments, once again, where the way how the team composition is built allows Snoopy to just get to free hit over and over and over again. Right? The entirety of this composition just revolves around whether or not Reyna's able to play the game, whether or not she's able to continue healing up her teammates, whether or not she's able to be positioned far back enough that you're not going to have a Pantheon and set directly on top of her. At this point, T4J need to find a way how to find a flank, how to get an in onto this Soraka. As long as Reyna's allowed to live, the game is not allowed to end for the side of AES. And T4J, I gotta say, have been playing a lot of these fights relatively well. It's just the constant healing being output by the Soraka is so difficult to play around, even with the healing reduction coming in on that Pantheon.
Interesting item choice from Ace. Ace goes with a Heart Seal. I mean, yes, there is a lot of champions that can stack the Heart Seal on, but I don't know if it's necessarily the best choice. I mean, wants to build a little bit tankier, but I feel like, for the most part, you can go, Overlords instead if you really want a little bit more health. A Stairs Gauge maybe would play a little bit better. I mean, I guess you're really playing for the long game if you're going for the sets. Which obviously is the win con for Jester, but I just don't know if it's going to slow down the scaling potential of this sets for the time being. But we'll see if that pays off or not. Again, there is a lot of melee champions you can stack onto, and they're all pretty short range, even including the Yunar is not the super longest range here. As you can see, Trudging trying to lock down Say Sorry. He's going to flap out of there. That's going to be on cooldown for a little bit. And we'll see what the Smolder stacks are on right now. I think he should be closing in on 225 if he hasn't hit it already. Cesar hasn't died at least much at all this game, which is nice, allowing the Smolder to continually stack whenever possible.
Definitely past 225.
Yeah, it's definitely yeah. So let's see if they can make advantages here or not. Hemo Mage going for a potential flank from this bot side, but chooses to not go for it. The gold lead, though, is starting to grow. Nothing too crazy. It's more so the objective control on the side of AES is very favorable for them. And Cloud Soul can definitely be rough for the side of Jesters to deal with.
Yeah, in the meantime, I gotta say, I'm a big fan of Trudging's build, right? It's literally just move speed on and move speed. You've got Force of Nature, you've got Dead Man's Play, you've got Swifties, you got Young's Ghost Blade. I mean, at this point, you might as well triple down and pick up a Phantom Dancer or something, because it is just so much fun running around the map at 50 billion miles an hour. The Cloud Rift definitely makes it even easier to do so. We're getting Cloud Soul coming up for the side of AES in just a few seconds. We're getting a big fight in the bot lane to start things off.
Oh, the showstopper is going to come through as Hemo Mage is going to be healed up, avoids the XU for the time being, but still quite low. Trudging going to be caught by himself, and it's going to be a shutdown going over to Say Sorry. That's going to be a lot of cash for that Smolder. Definitely going to be valuable. Flash was used though for the Smolder for time, but the Drake is up, and they're going to prolong this game a bit and stop the Cloud Soul from happening. That's 5 members strong are going to contest this, and they are not going to be around AES to fight this Drake. Good pick off there on Trudging. Trudging, maybe a little too fast for a team. The rest of the team just too far behind him at that point. And Hemo Mage somehow surviving it all after getting hit with a ton of damage. But the more crucial member of Trudging was the one that go down, so they cannot contest that as now looking to grab up this Baron potentially, but Canada is looming in this top side jungle.
Yeah, I mean, it was so good for the side of AES as, the entirety of the team came down. They were trying to help out Team 4 Jester. They were trying to make sure that there wasn't going to be a good team fight for their opponents. They're trying to make sure that they would be in a position that would allow them to secure that Cloud Soul. But right now, we're seeing the Smolder begin to really come online. It is not too late for Say Sorry, as the continual pickups of this crit is going to get us closer and closer to that either Executioner's Calling or that team fight on the Baron. Oh my god.
All right, Mom is going to be used as Hero Mage is looking for the engagement. Hero's Entrance comes through to stun up and knock up Jimmy. Jimmy is going to have to get out there for safety, is going to stun up Trudging, but Trudging is continuing his onslaught onto Caspian. We're going to have to pull back a little bit as Hemo Mage taking a lot of damage, and now the shutdown going over to Jimmy. So much damage coming from the Smolder in this fight, fighting front to back. It's paying favorably for them as Ace somehow making it out there alive. 4 members still around for AES, pretty healthy on the health bars. A lot of resources used in this fight, and you can see Trudging flashing forward and apprehends the Smolder. A huge decimate, Noxian Guillotine takes out the Smolder. That's massive. So much damage now gone. Jimmy forced to flash out to safety. AES not scared to turn it back onto Jesters despite losing a member, and Trudging yet again making plays for his team, looking to secure up this Baron. However, they can still contest this without the Smolder. The question is, do they have what it takes to get this, as the taunt is going to land onto Karma, but Karma is going to get out to safety. Bailout is good enough, but just Jimmy goes down shortly after. Snoopy is now on a rampage, going for the chase. Ace trying to get out of it, doesn't able to. Gets a Heartsteel sack, though, as a parting gift. EP coming through from the Malphite, and I think this should be an easy Baron for AES to close out. Let's see, though. Hero Mage, he's not scared to run into the thick of things, as Karma and Hex just has to watch as this Baron is slowly getting taken down, but it is going down kind of slow. Let's see what this fight is lasting for. A solid 5 minutes plus at this moment in time. Karma trying to run out of it as the Unstoppable Force does take out Karma, but now the Smolder is back up, and here goes Mom. Not enough to secure it. Hex trying to go for a hero play, but might just be giving another kill over to Snoopy, and Snoopy's now unstoppable. 5-1-5 on this Yunara. Yunara getting kind of scary, and AES, it might be getting to that late game, but they're not scared of these fights, and that's a 5K gold lead for them after they grab another Baron.
Yeah, and I gotta say, so much of this is because of Reyna's Soraka. Like, every single one of these fights have been decided by this Soraka, right? Every time that we see AES turn back towards the Baron, every single time that we see AES just barely limp away from a fight, it's the healing coming in from the Soraka. It's the absolute power of this support pick, making sure that the entirety of the team can stay as healthy as possible. We saw Jimmy just go forward and get the stun directly onto Canadia, get the stun directly onto Snoopy, and each time, it's not what the doctor ordered. The Soraka is the lifeblood of this team composition, and as long as Reyna can stay alive, this team will continue to win each and every one of these team fights. But right now, Reyna, I gotta say, rocking a build that comes straight from, you know, I just love this build. There's so many ways that I could think of how to phrase it, but at its essence, I love Dawncore and Moonstone so much. Mooncore is so broken together, especially on super healers like Soraka. The next item almost certainly going to be a redemption on top of that, and if they're already having this much trouble killing the Soraka and killing the team through these heals, imagine what happens when you get even more healing power on top of it.
That's right, and not really much heal cut outside that Oblivion Orb on the side of Cassiopeia, so I mean, we'll see how they do it. I mean, we might get a more reminder coming out from the Smolder. Would not be a bad idea, because you already have the damage, right? Going into this comp, you just need to survive and cut down some of that healing. You gotta be pretty scared to fight this straight up, though, if you're Caesar, because we saw the flash forward apprehend from the side of Trudging, and Trudging's not scared to initiate these fights with the Darius, as here comes the Showstopper doing a good chunk of damage. Ace gets a huge face breaker and a haymaker, almost a ton of damage, but Reyna healing everyone up, keeping them alive. The Smolder burn damage is adding up, though, and it's starting to chunk down as we get the shutdown onto Trudging, and Smolder completely untouched, constantly burning. Health bar so low. Canadia trying to buy some time for the rest of the team, but Canadia is not long for this world, as somehow gets away to safety still. But they deny another Cloud Soul, which is huge for the side of Jesters, that they look to secure this up. Trudging gave a lot for that fight, but unfortunately just not enough. Even though it was a 2-for-1 trade, the power, the strength of the late game scaling on the side of Jesters, so strong, so much damage being burned. And this is where Smolder starts getting scary. And now it's about be Cloud Soul for Cloud Soul fight. 3 Cloud Drakes, in a row for Jesters. Or maybe not in a row, but they do stop the soul happening 2 times in a row. Let's see if they can make it a 4th one. The gold differential is big for AES, but in the late game, that gold differential won't matter nearly as much.
Yeah, the gold itself might not matter as much, but the way how the team fights are played matters immensely. And a huge part of that one was Ace able to get into that backline, able to ult directly on top of both Snoopy and Reyna, making sure to take out as much of this Rocka's health as possible. We've been talking about this GOAT on repeat, but it's because of how unbelievably strong Soraka is in a composition like this. So if you're able to just take out as much of her health as possible at the beginning of the fight, keep her from staying in and healing up her backline divers, it's bound to be a good fight for the side of T4J. And we've seen these fights go super well around the dragon each and every time.
And it's getting tricky for AES. You know, they'll get 2 strong picks, which is great, but Ace buying so much value and space for the team, chunking so many health bars. Yes, he didn't kill anyone, but he was able to isolate Trudging away from the carries, do a good chunk of damage, and then just make it so that the Smolder could be free firing in the backline, burning down the health bars of AES. And we'll see if they can find a way around this. I mean, this is a 5-1-7, 4.5 item Yunara, but it's the Smolder, and the Smolder now has Mortal Reminder on top of it. So the healing from Reyna is going to be a little bit less effective as time goes on in this game.
Yeah, I mean, a little less effective is definitely one way to put it, but this has been on top of Executioner's Callings, on top of Oblivion Orbs, and Soraka
I just noticed the 2 on the top side.
Yeah, I mean, Soraka's only going to have even more healing as the game goes on. So it's... Mortal Reminder's definitely a pickup that is not bad per se. You are going to be losing out on a lot of the damage coming in from Giant Slayer that you would get from Lord Dominic's Regards, but at its basis, you are never going to be lacking any healing reduction, and by God, the healing reduction is needed. Everyone knows that at this point. Had Reyna gotten the ability to just heal as much as she wanted throughout this entire game, it would have been essentially lights out very early on for the side of T4J. But right now, with all this healing reduction, the game's at least playable for Team 4 Jester. But as Sun continues to push up, we're going to have to see what this turns into. All of the dragon fights go in the favor of Team 4 Jester. All of the Baron fights go in the favor of AES. And we're going to have to see what this turns into now. A big pick onto Trudging.
Trudging taking a lot of damage, but Reyna is there for the heals. Nothing crucial being spent up here as the TP comes through from the sets. Ace looking for potential for something, but here comes the Unstoppable Force. Say Sorry is able to get out of there to safety. Mom getting called, layered over with the Renata ultimate, doing so much damage as Ace has taken out Canada. Snoopy is here for the fight, but the Malphite goes down as well to the Smolder, burning down everyone as much as possible. Say Sorry completely untouched, and here comes the flashboard, the stun. Reyna goes down. It's just Snoopy left alive, and this Yunara may be strong, may be fed, but can't do it by herself. Health bars so full for the side of Jesters, only losing their jungler Jimmy in this exchange, and they're looking to grab up this second turret in this mid lane as soon as possible, and I think they have what it takes to do it before the minions are taken out. I don't know if you could get too much more value here as another wave is coming through though. Snoopy going to try to take out some of this wave, thin it out much as possible. They might get the turret. They might even get the inhibitor. There's still about 10 seconds left on the remaining respawn timers, and they are going to get this huge map control going over the side of Jesters. And again, they're throwing everything at Say Sorry, but it's just not enough. You land the Unstoppable Force, but Say Sorry just flashed out there, repositioned, and the rest of the team just collapsed onto AES. And they just, you know, unfortunately lost that 4-1.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's been so good from Karma, right? That ultimate across the entirety of of AES just do so much work, right? Andromeda Esports Sun were relying on the key lane coming in from the Soraka, but once the Soraka's berserk on that back line, we're going to be seeing another dragon fight come on through. Hold on.
All right, Showstopper comes through as Ace diving into it, not scared of anything. There's going to be a massive haymaker.
Whoa!
You know, completely punched out of the screen. Say Sorry is now on a rampage, dishing out additional damage, and there's just not enough damage left. Trudging, trying to make something out of nothing, but just not enough damage going to come through. That's going to be a clean ace. Cloud Soul as well. As you can see, Jesters feeling ready to end this game. I think they have what it takes, as they have a wave coming in here. 40 seconds still on a lot of these members, 30 seconds left on the Yunara, and Snoopy just getting completely haymakered off the map. Jesters looking up to even up things, and they did it in fashion. 40-minute game, and they definitely scaled with this composition. 17-17, 1-1, as Jesters forces us to game number 3.
Game number 3 inbound. Trudging's first loss on the board, and that is, as some say, nope, that is not a win for Andromeda Esports Sun. That is a win for Team 4 Jester. It is Jimmy McElroy on that Pantheon, that B1 Pantheon that has been hyped up through the entirety of this game. But I gotta say, right, Ace on that set did so much work in those later game team fights. The showstopper directly on top of the backline, the face breakers, the haymakers, just so much burst damage that Soraka never had a chance to actually heal through. And when Andromeda Esports Sun gets too far away from one another for the healing to actually come through, that's when all the burst damage really starts to hurt.
Yeah, Ace loved being in the middle of 5 members whenever he could. And hey, maybe I was proven wrong. Maybe the Heartsteel did provide some value. Did get the Overlord's Bloodmail as well in the end. So providing so much value with that set top pick. You know, it was a little rough in the early stages, but set just obviously could dish out a lot more damage than Malphite.
I need to see the ally healing versus damage.
But yeah, we'll take a look at that in this next one. As you can see, Soraka doing a lot of healing. Unfortunately, Smolder going to do a little bit more damage in that head-to-head. But Jesters, they're proving the doubters wrong here as they even up the series to 1-1. We're going to a final game number 3. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back as we conclude the series between Andromeda and Jesters.
Hey, I might.
Welcome back, everyone, to Titan Esports Divinity League. We are on the precipice of Game 3 right now between AES versus T4J, Andromeda versus Jesters. And, you know, it's really the story of the scaling dragons from the first two games. You got the Rolling Soul for AES in the first game, and then the Smolder on the side of T4J on the second game. And now two of the hardest scaling champions are out of the picture because we are in Fearless. So let's see what teams will be drafting up. I'm Caleb Payne. I'm joined with Anti. And how are you feeling after that second game?
Honestly, I am pretty excited about that game number 3, right? Because game number 2 had a very, very back and forth sort of play. And it was the first time that I've seen Trudging, at least, playing one of those more carry-oriented junglers on that Darius jungle. And I love to see some of these older picks come on through, some of these slightly more niche picks come on through, and I love to see whether or not they can make a dent in the current meta. And then sometimes you're reminded as to why they're not really played that often anymore. I think that the way how Trudging played, genuinely really, really impressive, right? Extremely good on the Jarvan, extremely good on that Darius, but at the very least, it is going to be Ace on that set pickup that did so much work towards the later stages of that game. Just so strong with that showstopper, just making it absolutely incredibly difficult for the side of Andromeda Esports Sun to play.
Hey, well, we're getting into the final draft, and you can see all those grayed out champions are banned for this one as we are in that Fierce format. We get the Dr. Muno banned up and the Ivern banned up, back and forth. You know, part of me really wants to see what Trudging's got up his sleeve with that potential Ivern pick, but not going to be happening this week as it is going to be consistently banned from Jesters in all 3 games. We got the Karma ban out, which is definitely a new one for AES. It was on the table in the last 2 games, but a lot of our healers are gone too, so and our chanters, so maybe they're going to be on higher priority as the Mumu is going to be banned out, and then the Braum. So a little bit more focus on the supports from AES side here. Showing a lot of respect though for Trudging. 2 junglers banned out already. Might be the Jinx.
Ooh,
no, the Hecarim. All right. They know they don't want to see
we saw the Hecarim ban.
Comfort picks.
Yeah, we saw the Hecarim ban in that last game, so I was wondering if we were going to see 3 jungle bans go on through. Man, AES really, really have the strong, terrifying jungler over here in Trudging. But there's that Jinx that's been banned every single game by the team not on blue side. But once again, there's the Misfortune that's been banned every single game. So it's just going to be a matter of picks on picks on picks. The Braum also taken off the table by AES. I'm honestly a little bit surprised that Misfortune did go through and the Braum was banned on top of it, right? But either way, with Braum off the table, Milio's also off the table. Jax is going to be picked up, likely going to be the jungle pick as the counter pick to Wukong. I would love to see a support pick here to deal with that Misfortune. You know, could be a Bard, could be a Nautilus, something to just point and click onto that MF. Leona honestly does a pretty good job, but now you're gonna have to ask yourself, what is the laning phase going to be looking like, especially because Say Sorry and Karma have been doing such a good job in that bot lane. And right now the Janna pickup is very, very good for the side of T4J as far as the laning phase is concerned. I'm not 100% sure how much value that's really going to be able to give in the team fights though, because Solar Flare is almost certainly going to be reserved for that bullet time.
Yeah, and we do have that Jax as a potential flex pick as well if AES decide to go for it, but I think in the jungle is going to be quite nice. A lot of front line for this Jinx too, so going to rely a lot of the damage on her for the time being. They're going to ban out some of those top lane picks. The Yona going to be banned out yet again. Sion banned out, Ornn banned out. So, you know, right now, early game looking pretty strong for T4J. Ooh, okay, but they get themselves some late game insurance policy as they pick up the Veigar to, potentially round out this mid lane. It's almost got to be the mid lane at this point. It's gonna be the Lux pickup. Okay, so mage for mage as Lux is going to be on for Canada. And you do have a lot of burst damage, and there's not really any tanks on the side of T4J. So, and we get the Olaf.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, it could be Olaf jungle as well, but likely going to be that Olaf top. I mean, if both top and jungle have that flexibility, maybe depending on what this last pick is, it could be an option, but it's going to be the Gwen. So, quite a bit of scaling on the side of T4J. Yeah. You're saying what?
I'm hoping it's going to be the Jack's top now. Like, you have the flex available. Why not flex to make it a much better fight for the solo laner? Because, I mean, we've seen Trudging just picking up these champions that are able to hit R, run fast, go straight into that backline, make the enemy team's life a living hell. And especially with a champion that's so reliant on the CC like Veigar with that baby cage, or with Cyclone, or with Howling Gale, right? There's just so many different ways that you're supposed to keep the Veigar alive. You're supposed to keep the Misfortune alive, and in the end, Ragnarok just eats all of it up, just takes you straight to the end. And what better ending for this series than Ragnarok for the end of Divinity week number 4. It is going to be that top lane Olaf, so it is going to be Trudging once again rocking these AoE backline diving junglers.
Yeah, he's been really great as a playmaker on pretty much every one of his champions. I mean, Dare's not even the easiest playmaker champ to be, but even finding some great apprehends and setups for his team. So Jack's definitely be the champion to do that. And yeah, I mean, Hemo Mage loving those flanks, and there's nothing really stopping a flank from Olaf, right? He's just going to be running at you, throw up a cage if he wants, but it's not going to really slow him down. I think it's actually a really great pick for this final game. And let's see if Jesters are able to find a way around her now. I kind of like the draft a little bit more from AES, but of course, this Veigar, the late game can be pretty scary, same as the Gwen. But a lot of their damage is that magic damage. They have the Misfortune, but outside of that, Wukong's going to do some physical damage here or there, but they have a lot of damage. I think we're probably going to see a lot of Merc Treads in response to that from AES.
Yeah, I mean, Merc Treads galore should be the name of the game for AES. I would be very interested. I'm honestly very interested in seeing how this mid lane ends up going, because a lot of the time, Lux isn't really one of those champions that has the ability to threaten Veigar, but she does particularly well into these mid lane champions that don't have the ability to threaten her safety, right? So it doesn't matter how much peel is on the enemy team. What matters is how much fighting is going on the top side. Hold on, we might be seeing an early kill here.
Oh, 2 axes landing for Hemo Mage is definitely going to make this lane pretty uncomfortable for Ace, as Hemo Mage really kind of doing that in most of these games for the most part into this top lane. But this Gwen is going to be pretty strong. This Gwen, meanwhile, has 0 CS to start things off, which is a little bit tragic. Canada going to try to make as much as possible, as the binding does land onto Hex. Hex going to respond with a little bit of damage back, but of course this is definitely going to be a lane slightly more favorable for the Lux in the early game. But this Veigar is going to really start pumping out damage later on, as Canada is spacing really well and just making it hard for Hex to even stack.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta ask one question, Caleb. Do you think that AES gets some sort of like skin stipend? Because we saw the Prestige skin or the Aurelion Soul earlier. We're seeing that Prestige skin on the Jinx -1 in the top lane. But right now, I gotta say, as far as the skins go, that is a lot of money being spent on the game by AES. Thank you for keeping League of Legends running.
That's right. Sometimes can't really say this game is a pay-to-win game, but sometimes it feels that way when you're really flexing those expensive skins. And it's a whole different story when the skin is in the hands of someone that doesn't know what they're doing. But that's not really the case right now, as Snoopy and Reyna doing a lot of damage to Karma in this bottom lane so far, taking him pretty aggressively there. And this is going to be a pretty important lane too, because a lot of this damage is going to be pretty crucial in those late game team fights. But this also might be a story of carries in these top laners too, because both of them have a ton of carry potential in this third and final game of Fearless. And Hemo Mage, not scared to play aggressive at all, as we've seen from both these first 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, that's one dash away from Ace, and Hemo Mage right now, oh, the flash forward, and just like that, not going to be able to get that first blood. It is going to be Snoopy looking for the kill with a fancy feat from Karma. Make sure to keep that Janna alive, and here comes Jimmy. Is the monkey going to get spotted out early enough? Yes, he is, and AES not going to be going down just yet, but are we going to see the trade in this top lane?
Looks like Jax are going to be returning back to base, maybe thinking the better of it. Don't have the have a lot of health on Ace on this Gwen, but meanwhile there's going to be engaged onto Canada on this Lux. But yeah, it was kind of a little one of those Bluetooth routes, as we see Hemo Mage just going to clear up this lane here. But Flash for Flash traded on that bot lane. Flash on the support Janna versus Flash for the Jinx. Definitely going to be a decent trade for the side of Jesters, and know that they could potentially gank this Jinx a little bit easier later on here, as a nice Cyclone is going to land onto Canada. Canada going to be exhausted up. Hex going to throw down the cage, going to try to do as much damage as possible, forcing out the flash from Lux. A lot of flash is going to be used in this early game. Just sets up for some potential ganks for Jimmy later on, as Ace is so low on health. However, they might just bait Hemo in. Hemo doesn't see the vision, but maybe suspecting of it, as is going to land the axe to slow down this Wukong. Going to get to safety. That's Jimmy all over the map, but unfortunately not finding any successful ganks yet. Oh, here comes
and once again, Reyna's getting stopped up, but...
Yeah. Karma going to take a lot of damage, chunk quite a bit. Flash forward, stunned. Karma just a little bit of health, and the zap does take it. First blood going over to Snoopy, and now Jake's excited and say sorry. Going to have to play a little bit safer there. A lot of resources used, but Janna finally goes down, and this game already starting off to a faster pace than the first 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, we saw so few kills in the early game last time around, but this time we are going to be seeing kill on kill on kill. Let's take a look at this one once more. Reyna was a little bit further behind in terms of the experience points, but that's just kind of the life of a support nowadays. But here we are. Zenith Blade from the bush all the way in, get that shield bash in, and all this damage. I mean, Leona just one of those champions that just can do so much damage onto the bot laners on repeat, and there it is. The zap coming on through, and the reset means that Say Sorry cannot even begin to try to trade that kill right back. But in the top lane, it is going to be a damage pickup versus a boots pickup. But right now, Hemo Mage Wonderland is very much happy to just trade again and again with this Gwen.
Yeah, it's, you know, Olaf, just kind of a really annoying champion to face sometimes, and those axes, that damage really starts adding up, and you could just play super aggressive with that Olaf even at low HP. But things are looking, again, pretty good for AES in this early game. I wouldn't say that Jesters necessarily hard outscaled him in this late game too. I mean, unless Hex does some crazy stacking throughout the series. So this is overall probably one of the more even compositions back and forth between these two, and Ace just trying to farm as safe as possible on this Gwen. But it's just like one of those matchups where, like, even the late game, the Olaf in your face doesn't make things any more comfortable for the Gwen.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just so much damage on damage, especially because you got the extra true damage on top of it, right? And a lot of Gwen's late game tankiness really stems from the fact that her W actually adds so much resist onto her champion. But in the end, you can only get so much value out of those resists when the opponent that you're facing is just throwing true damage on true damage on true damage into your face. Reyna getting spotted in the bush right there, but in the top lane, it's just going to be a trade of the scuttles. Once again, Trudging always finding a way how to stay ahead in terms of the gold, in terms of the clears, but the big question here is whether or not we are going to be seeing a successful gank coming in from Jimmy, because we've seen quite a few ganks going in, but we haven't seen so much gained from any of these ganks.
Yeah, and this Olaf, I feel like it's gonna be pretty hard to gank, you know? Like, he could just, like, turn on you or just ult out and run away, you know? And it's a tough one. He still has the flash up as well. Ghost is on cooldown, but has a lot of ways to escape. And this top lane, this gap might continue to grow larger and larger, and maybe Jimmy might look for something else. Speaking of looking for something else, Trudging in this bot lane, going to stun up the Misfortune and say sorry, just not even going to spend the flash, just saying, you know what, I'm probably going to just die right then here. And now as, oh my gosh, Hex almost getting taken out from the Lux, but here we go, we get a gank onto Hemo, and let's see if Hemo Mage can get out of it or not. Flashes away, doesn't want to try to turn it, but the flash forward from Jimmy does get a trade on this top side at least, so 1-for-1 there, and slowing down the farm on the side of the Olaf. It's going to give a little bit of breathing room for Ace, but this bot lane is not looking great so far for Jesters.
Yeah, not looking the greatest for the side of Jesters, but as we can see, that's a lot of pressure being taken up by that bot lane, right? The first gank that we do see coming in from Trudging ends up working out so well in their favor, able to just jump across that scuttle crab into these grubbies once again. Trudging really does love to take these grubbies, right? It seems to have been working out for the team in the last few, but the question is, are we going to be seeing the Dragon Soul being denied once again? We saw it in that last game. This game, there is one early Dragon picked up, and Snoopy very early on with the Super Mega Death Rocket.
All right, the Chompers are laid out, but Misfortune throws down the ultimate, doesn't get as much damage as possible. Jimmy is here for the backup. Let's see if Snoopy and Reyna can get out of it yet, as Howling Gale is going to land onto Snoopy. Snoopy forced to throw the barrier up. Should be able to get to safety for now, as there is not too much additional damage. To say sorry, does pick up the kill on Reyna, getting a little bit something back in this bot lane here. And again, another great gank from Jimmy, recognizing that a lot of these summoners are down. Burning out the flash and the barrier from Snoopy is going to make things a little bit easier for the bot lane later on. But like you said, another back-to-back Grubs and Drake take for AES to start things off. And Trudging's just all over the map, you know, constantly trying to find advantage for a team somewhere, no matter what.
Yeah, always trying to find it somewhere, but not going to be able to find it just yet. I mean, there has been one gank from this Jax coming on through, but while it was successful, we're likely not going to be seeing too much more of that, because the big thing about Jax Jungle is you get to skip the landing phase, right? You get to skip any sort of obstacle that's keeping you from getting to that Triforce. If that axe landed, that would have almost certainly been an all-in from Hemo Mage Wonderland. There was no flash, no ghost to actually commit to the fight, but in the meantime, no ultimate on this Gwen is something you have to be paying close attention to. Remember, Ace does have teleport out to this fight, but they don't want to expend it. They understand that Gwen is not going to be very strong until after she finishes her second core item. But in the meantime, it is just going to be the continuous build up towards that. Oh my goodness, what was the first one that she ends up building? It's Dusk and Dawn as a second item, and it's a fight in the bot lane. Oh my god, the cleanse already going to be burned up by Say Sorry. And what looked to be an opportunity for a gank just turns into the dragon and a reset.
Yeah, AES all over the place with these objectives, and no one really having an item completed up except for Misfortune and Lux, but it just didn't feel like they had a great position. Trinity Force now completed on both junglers and a huge root, and Rhaegar just going to get out to safety. But Canadia playing very aggressively in this lane as much as possible, and try to deny this. The flash forward, the cage is going to land though onto Canadia. Canadia now taking a lot of damage back, but just not enough, as doesn't get the turret aggro, so does get out to safety for time being. But the flash is burned on both mid laners, and you know, Hex may not be winning outright in a lot of these fights, but not really behind on CS and not dying, which is definitely the name of the game if you want to scale with this Veigar. But 2 Drakes, 3 Grubs already gone over to AES, and Jesters, they can't really hang around too long without taking another team fight. Otherwise, all these objectives are going to go uncontested. And let's see if they're going to be able to get to that or not. As meanwhile, Hemo Mage still just punishing Ace as much as possible in this top lane.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a bit of damage coming in on this top side, but one thing I am worrying about, right, is the fact that Human Mage does not have the teleport. And that means two things. One, it means that Human Mage is going to have maybe one teleport every 7-ish minutes or so in the later stages of the game. Once again, just the final spark going to be thrown directly down that mid lane the moment one of those roots lands. We're getting a little bit antsy in the spot lane, but, you know, the scaling is coming through nonetheless, so I'm sure that AES don't quite mind that. But the big thing, right, is with teleport, despite some of these good early trades, you are going to be seeing Ace picking up that... Oh, hold on. We've got a big fight in the bot lane.
All right, Reyna caught in a tough position, has to flash towards the enemy side of the jungle, might be able to just get out to safety, but no, there comes... Wait, hold on, Jax going for the counter-strike. Reyna buying so much time for the team, finally goes down to the bullet time. Canadian now caught in a tough position as they take out Canadian on top of it here. Looking for more, though. Trudging, trying to go back into the fight. Hex caught in a tough position, and the Super Mega Death Rocket almost taking out Jimmy, but the counter-strike should be enough to do as Trudging picks up a double kill, turn things back around after Reyna was caught out, taking 3 for 2. A pretty good exchange for AES yet again. And Canada caught in a tough position with that bull time being later over. But 3-0-1 the Jax, 2-0-3 on the Jinx. Something you'll love to see if you're AES.
Yeah, I mean, I was sitting here trying to make a little bit of small talk about top lane quest timing, but in the end, it's not a matter of top lane quest. It is a matter of full team fight domination. The W is popped, and Ace right now is the scariest that he can be. But look at how much scarier this Olaf gets.
Oh, Ragnarok is popped, and Truggin's now on a rampage there for the additional assistance for his top laner. And yes, Ace looking a little bit better in that exchange, but trudging all over the map and just finding so much value there as the jungler. And say sorry, going to still be in this bottom lane, but you can see Snoopy already taking that mid lane, trying to slow things up a bit. They're not going to get too much outside of one plate, but Light Binding doesn't land. And Trudging, again, on another objective. I don't know if Jester is going to be able to get a single one for quite a while, as Trudging is all over the map. They have a goal lead, and Trudging is super strong on top of it. It is hard to team fight into Trudging's Jax. And that's going to be Rift Herald for them. And, I mean, that Rift Herald is just going to set them up for the next Drake, right? Like, once the next Drake pops, throw the Rift Herald down the mid lane. As meanwhile, Reyna caught in a tough position again. Disaster going to slow things down a little bit, but the cage is thrown down. Reyna caught in there, but taking so much damage. Zenith Blade going to be canceled over with the Janna ultimates. And now comes the Cyclone. Reyna finally goes down. Say sorry is now on a killing spree, but Reyna buying so much time, so many resources used to take out the support Leona. But in the end, they do get Reyna and his top laners. They're fighting it through. Hollow Mist is going to be popped. Needlework is doing so much damage to Hemomage, but Hemomage healing things back up. And Ace, I mean, feeling like was in a good position, but now just taking a lot of damage still back from the Olaf. And it looks like Ace opted for the Riftmaker as the first item.
Yeah, I mean, the Riftmaker is completed, but the flash forward coming in from Hemomage, and there's yet another kill going down for the side of AES. And once again, the Olaf manages to get the upper hand on the Gwen. It's just a very difficult position to find yourself in, but here is more than just Olaf and Gwen. Here's the rest of the team as the dragon is up, and we've already seen what Trudging likes to do to these objectives. It is always going to be an on-spawn team fight.
Yeah, Trudging not even on the Drake, instead goes for the Counter-Strike, and Hex taking a lot of damage, but now comes the cage, keeping Trudging in place for just the time being. Jimmy taking a lot of damage, forced to go out of it, dropping the clone behind, and now this might be just sole points for the side of AES. It just goes uncontested yet again. Trudging, grabbing every objective on the map, taking so many aggressive exchanges. And unfortunately, the scaling from Jester has not scaled yet, as Hex going to try to take out the Leona, but maybe got a little too greedy. Zap does not land, forcing Hex to flash out, and Hex does take the Leona back in exchange. However, releasing a flash on the Veigar, maybe not the best for later skirmishes. And yes, it might be 7-6 for the score, but 4 of those deaths are on the support of Leona, so not really getting a ton of value in these kills. And meanwhile, the gold lead is on the side of AES, and the objective lead is easily on their side as well. And I don't know, Jesters, they're just going to have to fight and fight somehow, but with this Jax just in everyone's face, there's just nothing that can contend with him so far.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like Trudging just has gotten the ability to walk all over the backline of Team 4 Jester. And once again, Trudging has been such a huge force of power for this team. Andromeda Esports Sun just seemed to play around this man so unbelievably well. A lot of these fights have been started up by Reyna not necessarily getting caught out per se, but doing something that I like to call a Schrodinger's catch, where we might be seeing one of those right now, actually.
All right, Ragnarok's going to be popped to get Heyumo Mage out to safety. Needlework was popped as well, too. Overall, not too bad. And AES pick up the mid turret on top of it. So trying to get value somewhere, knowing that Jimmy was on that top side. Now Hex might have to back off as his bot lane turret might go down as well. There's a not too big of a wave, but some wave here as Trudging going to try to ward off any reinforcements. Counter-Strike going to be queued up a bit. Oh, here comes the cage throw. Trudging might be caught in a tough position as the Howling Gale is perfect. And meanwhile, able to layer the bullet time, and the shutdown goes over to say sorry. Massive pick off onto Trudging, finally getting caught out. Can't do everything by himself, and definitely not 1v3, but a perfect layering of the Howling Gale, and the cage is just keeping Trudging there to take maximum damage from that misfortune.
Yeah, and let's take a look at this one more time, right? So Trudging gets rid of the ward, waits a little bit to make sure that there's no vision available, and says, right, you know what? This is the time that I can take this Gromp. But in the meantime, the gold comes back, the vision comes back, and so does all the damage as Say Sorry and Karma just manage to walk in at just the right time to punish this Jax. That's such a huge shutdown, a very well worth it flash coming in for Say Sorry. And once again, 2 items on one of these massive carries like Misfortune could be huge. And is this another one of these Andromeda Barons?
It might be. It's definitely another objective that might go over yet again to AES. Misfortune not in the vicinity to drop a big, massive bull time in this Baron pit, but trying to get here as soon as possible. Jimmy is here, though, looking for a potential steal. I mean, a Cyclone plus Misfortune ultimate could be huge as the Monsoon is going to be popped as well to buy some additional space. Now, Say Sorry is here. Can land a big ultimate if possible. Meanwhile, Gwen grabbing so many kills back, but Reyna is actually able to take out Ace. Cage is going to be dropped here as Jax has already been taken out. 3 members still alive, but against the 4 members of Jesters, I don't think they have what it takes to take him out. And they're going to stop the Baron. And they're going to give a little bit of breathing room for Jesters. They're starting to close the gold gap between these two. And this Misfortune is getting really strong right now. 2.5 items. That 900 plus gold shutdown was massive for Say Sorry. And now they're looking to grab the mid turret on top of it. Super Mega Death Rocket, though, going to try to lift the wave, but the melee minions on side going to prolong this a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of those Barons that we saw Andromeda Esports Sun do over and over again in the last game. And last time, it was just a bait each and every time because they had a Soraka, which meant that they could do it as healthily as possible. But the big thing was they could not do it quickly. Now, in this game, right, they don't have a Soraka. They don't have a healer. Now, they're not exactly well equipped to do these Barons quickly, but at the very least, they can do it relatively safely, but they don't have the same turning power as a team that had Soraka pumping heals up their butt the entire time. And this time around, we are going to be seeing quite a bit of, you know, all in for the side of Andromeda Esports Sun. The dragon is coming up in 15 seconds. The soul could be theirs, and it seems like there's going to be almost no shot of contention.
All right, Hemo Mage might be caught in a tough position, but it's going to be Reyna that's going to be following up. And here, a massive Counter-Strike. Misfortune Bolt Time already used, and Canada going to snipe out the jungler. Ace trying to do whatever he can, but just takes too much damage, even in the Hollow Mist. And again, another objective going over to the side of AES, and it's going to be Soul for them. Ocean Soul on top of it. Not going to be a fun time with the Olaf running at your face already. Every objective going over. Trudging, trying to do his best jungle gap possible. They're looking for Baron on top of it.
Yeah, Baron right now. The purple worm in their eyes. The Nexus on the horizon. It's going to be going down extremely quickly, but more importantly than that, this is the healing that the doctor ordered. This is all the healing that was missing in that last Baron take. It's the Ocean Soul making sure that the entirety of AES stays as healthy as possible going into this. I mean, Canada right now just more than happy to drop the final spark as many times as he wants. It might be a final spark, but we've got so many bombs on this Misa playthrough, just so little cooldown on this ultimate, it might as well be considered another basic spell. But once again, AES have the Dragon Soul, they have the Baron. What can you do with it? There are no infinite scaling champions on the map this time if you close your eyes and forget that Veigar can do that. But the Veigar infinite scaling hasn't really come online, right? No. It's just a matter of double tier Veigar, and sure, when you finish it, it might feel really good, but it doesn't feel like that's going to come online anytime soon.
Yeah, going for a little bit more tanky items, which means that it's really going to slow down this damage from Hex. I don't know if you can stall the game long enough as the gold differential is ballooning here, and they're just continuing to look for more and more. I mean, they're not scared of this Veigar at all, right? The moment you take out that Misfortune, they notice that Misfortune spending the bullet time, as meanwhile Ace going to be able to pop the arm guard to survive for now. But you know, the moment you pop that bullet time and it doesn't do enough damage, they just go in on you, right? Yeah, there's a Gwen that could, you know, enjoy that melee range, but just Gwen can't do it by himself. And things are looking tough for Jesters in this third and final game. Let's see if they find a way around it. But that's Ocean Soul already in under 25 minutes for AES, with a comp that really would love Ocean Soul.
Yeah, I mean, Ocean Soul is definitely one thing, but on top of that, right, it's these champions that need these items in order to scale. It's these champions that need this gold, need this time in order to actually play the game. If we can get to 45 minutes, then Team for Jester might be in a much better position. But that is a back-to-back for Dragon Ocean Soul, right? This game is about as accelerated as it can be, and I'm not sure if Team for Jester is actually going to be in a position where they can make it happen, right? The Zhonya's Hourglass is so far away for Ace. The Dusk and Dawn is almost certainly going to be the next item, so you're just sitting on a Shattered Arm Guard for a long time. And the Riftmaker's not going to be giving you that much value until much later. The most fed member of Team for Jester is that Misfortune, and Say Sorry still looking for that last bit of gold to pick up that Executioner's Calling, and it would be so nice to have on this Misfortune, but you really want that 100% crit chance as quickly as possible.
That's right. And I just don't know if they get there in time. We'll see. I mean, and meanwhile, you got multiple items completed up for the side AES. 3 items on this Jinx on top of, you know, some additional damage items. And the Runans are going to just really spray this damage all over the place. Not a lot of melee champs to really maybe make the most of the Runans, but I think they're far ahead at this point that honestly any item would be good for the Jinx. As Trudging might be caught in tough position, looking for a potential pick off, but not going to be it. And Jesters just trying to turtle as long as they can.
Yeah, I mean, trying to turtle as long as you can, but the big question here is what can you actually do? Who can you actually pick? You can't really pick off Trudging, because if you do, Trudging's got a Seeker's Arm Guard in his inventory, so he gets to stall for absolutely forever. You can't really pick off Hemomage Wonderland because he just hits R and walks away. You can't really pick off the Jinx because, you know, he's so far behind everyone else that every time that you see what looks like a catch, it ends up being a catch on you. This is what I call the Schrodinger's catch, right? Where until you take the pick, you don't know whether or not it's good. And for the side of AES, they are very happy to be in a position like this.
And they're going to split up this fight a bit as Hemomage, not even scared of this damage, just focuses the turret and does grab that top inhibitor turret. Trudging, trying to get the inhibitor on top of it. Now, again, just they're not scared to face check Ace on this Gwen. Gwen just doesn't have enough damage, right? Not really a lot of damage items in general. With that Riftmaker as the first item and then the Arm Guard as kind of the second in Oblivion Orb, you just don't do enough right now with this Gwen.
Yeah, don't do enough damage with the Gwen. The final spark goes a little bit wide, but, you know, Canadia's got as many of those as he pleases. I do really like this Lux pick. I was a little bit interested seeing it the first time around, but when we did see it in game, it did exactly what we anticipated, right? It manages to threaten the backline without ever actually having to reach the backline. So all of these peel heavy champions kind of lose some of their edge, some of their power. So the only champion that really gets to deny damage is going to be that Gwen with the Hallowed Mist, but that's not really the job of Canada to deal with. Reyna going to be flashing out immediately, not going to let any chances of that Elder Drag pick to go through. And once again, the Ocean Soul is going to be so pivotal for Reyna on that Leona. This survivability is very important in this fight.
Yeah, just absorbing a lot of the resources and damage from Jesters and just, you know, very, very healthy still. As you can see, Hemo Mage trying to do something here as Ace trying to poke out, but it's just hard to poke, especially in these long trades. The Ocean Soul really coming in handy as Hemo Mage might try to full send it. Solar Flare does land onto a couple members, and the final spark does a ton of damage as Karma goes down. Say Sorry is dead as well, and now they are in the thick of it. Jinx is excited, and they're just looking to end this game right here, right now. Gwen trying to TP back, but the TP forward is going to be faster as Hemo Mage just trying to cut down these turrets as fast as possible. Trudging is here as well. It's just Ace. It's just this Gwen. And I don't even think Gwen can take them out even if they're not focusing Gwen. But that's going to be an Ace. And that's going to be the game as AES takes the 2-1 victory over Jesters in dominating fashion in the third and final game.
And game number 3 going to AES once again. This team started with a 2-0 last week, gonna go with a 2-1 this week. They had to fight for it, but the claw to playoff contention continues. Andromeda Esports Sun with their newfound jungler Trudging have been going straight on in, doing so much work with these innovative team compositions. I love the way how the mid game ended up playing out. They managed to close out on that Dragon Soul, something that we saw them struggle a lot with in that first and second game. But right now, the biggest question is, what are we going to be seeing next from these teams, right? It's just so well played from Andromeda Esports Sun, and to think this is the competitive level of some of the, you know, more underdog teams in this league just goes to show the quality of the games that we could be missing on the off stream.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And you see Hemo Mage leading the damage charts on this Olaf. I think a fantastic pick in this final game as they close out this series. I mean, I think just overall team fighting fantastic. And that second game, I think they played well, but it's just they got outscaled by a Smolder. However, this game, they didn't let that happen with the Veigar pick. And that's going to be AES evening up their record to 2-2 with definitely strong chances of playoff contention. If they keep playing like this, they might just do it. So we'll see how this goes, but big congrats to them as they take the victory over Jesters for this week. Right.
Yeah, and that will be it for today. Yeah, that will be it for today, but we will have so much more Titan Esports throughout the week. So make sure to tune in every single day of the week, you know, Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. PST or 8 p.m. EST, because if you like tonight's banger, we're bound to have some more.
That's right. And of course, if you want to support Titan Esports, make sure to check out our merch page, FOFesports.com, and check out the Titan Esports tab to get all your merch to support this organization. But that's going to do it for us. Thank you, Anti, for being on the mic with me, and Shrogan on the broadcast, and Little Game Star for observing things. And best of luck for these teams in the future weeks. But we'll catch you all next Monday for more Divinity action. Until then, have a good one. Peace.